What up, everybody? Force Phil here with another Miracles League. Today we're gonna try. Today we got a fork and treat today, fam. So we like to try stuff here on the channel, and today I wanted to give a little glimpse into my Leyline Dowser ideas. Leyline Dowser is essentially a way to keep up with all of. It's like if you're playing Beanstalk, like you should play Beanstalk, but if you don't want to play Beanstalk because you want any texture to a game, play some Leyline Dowser. The problem with Leyline Dowser is it is mana gated, so every time you activate it, it's one tap, mill a card. You may put an instant or sorcery milled this way into your hand. Then you can have some flavor text of tap a legendary creature you control, untap this artifact. Now, as you'll see, the entire list is instants and sorceries outside of Leyline Dowser and lands. Now, we're also down to 18 lands. 4 of which are basics and 2 of which are off color. Now, these 2 off color things are for 2 reasons. The primary reason, prismatic ending. We've talked about this before. Your control deck is really only as good as your prismatic endings if you're playing white. So the way that we have 4 colors, so we'll be able to get rid of One Rings and Karns and Kaitos and things of that nature with our prismatic endings. The other side is the green is also a splash for this Gaia's Blessing. Now, this is twofold. This is main deck graveyard hate, which is good. Now, Gaia's Blessing, not a very good card. It's not an instant. Hopefully it would be. I've said this before. I don't know. I don't know if I've done it on the channel. I've certainly done it on Eternal Dodos on the podcast. I've always wanted them to print exactly Gaia's Blessing as a blue-white instant with the exact same text, except it also gains some amount of life. And that is because the luxury of having main deck graveyard hate and life gain are 2 things that a control deck would really like to have in a format like this. But the problem is that when it's not consolidated to a single card, you have to allocate a slot to something else to get that kind of effect. Now, the reason that we are playing a Revitalize and the Gaia's Blessing and all of that, I should say, we're going to fill out the last 4 cards here, and we'll get there in a second. But the Gaia's Blessing is primarily because Leyline Dowser is going to mill a card, and if it ever mills a Gaia's Blessing, you stack it so that your graveyard shuffles back in, and then you keep the Gaia's Blessing in hand. And that is valuable for 2 reasons. It means that if you ever start milling lands that you missed, like I don't think we're going to get in that position, but I have been typically a fan of Witness the Future in my decks because if my opponents ever wasteland me off of mana sources, I like being able to flip them back in, particularly with Mystic Sanctuary, because the Mystic Sanctuary thwart endgame is our way to win these games. And the Gaia's Blessing sort of fills that slot without being an expensive spell, because I don't want to play any 3 mana spells in my deck that I don't have to, and B, it works with the milling aspect of Leyline Dowser. Now, Leyline Dowser also works on Master, because you're milling a card and then putting that card into your hand. You're not drawing that card. So that is a quality aspect of the thing. However, it is then softer to graveyard hate because you do have to mill the card, and that goes to your graveyard, of course. The upside, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is when you're playing against Bowmaster and having to slot things to essentially like circumvent Bowmaster. That's why Nadu's good. It's why Stock Up's been very good. It's why Brain Surge doesn't really see all that much play legitimately. It's because Bowmaster sort of punishes those style of effects. And I was thinking to myself, what is a way that instead of us having to be like, oh man, we got a cantrip around the Bowmaster, and the Bowmaster just gets to control the narrative of every single game that we play against it, and that sucks shit. What if instead we could punish them for playing the Bowmaster? I was trying to think, like, is there a way that we can play a legitimate card, loosely legitimate? I mean, this is a Force of Phil Miracles video, but like, is there a loosely legitimate card that we could play to punish somebody playing their Bowmaster rather than us having to be the ones that fear the Bowmaster, rather than giving the Bowmaster all of the clout? So what I've decided to do is try out this card, which is an old fave. And by old, I mean, I don't know how old the card actually is, but Archmage's Charm is something that I've been testing recently in paper, and what I like about it is twofold. It's just more card draw, and it fills out a counter magic suite, a density of counter magic that I like to have in my deck at a baseline. Triple blue with a basic plains. I know you're like, Phil, this is bad deck building. I get it, fam. I get it. Trust me. At every turn, I want to cut this plains. I hate basic plains in my Mystic Sanctuary deck. But Archmage's Charm has a couple of different things that I can do for it. Aside from being just a blanket counterspell or a draw 2 at instant speed, which is, just more card flow, the gain control of target non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less is cool in that if, let's say, we can bait our opponent by playing Brainstorm, they Bowmaster will ping us for a bunch, but then if we can remove the Bowmaster, the problem is then we have to deal with this like chunky 4/4 or this, however big, this thick fatty that they just made after casting the Bowmaster. But this can take control of the fatty. So we can essentially go about our day, Brainstorm, they Bowmaster, we may lose a bunch of life, but then they are giving us the threat that's going to kill them. And I don't know if that's actually going to be quality enough, but that the fact that that is an incidental mode on this card is something that I've been testing in person, and I've enjoyed it so far. It doesn't always work because it's expensive, but like your opponent's not obviously playing around this, and if you steal their thick Bowmaster beater, and then they have to either spend a removal spell on that beater or die to it, like you just get to go up cards and trade with the Bowmaster in a way that is valuable without actually having to disrupt your plan meaningfully, because you're gonna have to cantrip and then remove the Bowmaster even when they cast it, no matter what anyway. But the fact that then you can cantrip and make a big beater yourself and make that as a threat, very good. The other side of this can steal a flipped Tameo. A flipped Tameo Planeswalker is going to threaten ultimate at all times, but now us having 6 ways to deal with a flipped Tameo makes me a little bit less concerned about that card, which is great. The other aspect, because we're playing Leyline Dowser and a bunch of card draw in our deck, I don't think that a control deck that is playing all these white cards is just going to be soft to a lot of combo decks, and I like having introducing a single aspect of a card or a single aspect in your deck with 4 Mystic Sanctuary and Thwart means that you have infinite copies of that effect. So a single Force of Negation means that if the game were to go forever, we can exile every non-creature spell our opponent ever casts. I get that that's just theory; it never actually comes up, but there's a comfort to theory when I play my games. The last thing, and we should probably talk about accumulated knowledge. I was thinking about making this Council's Judgment. Council's Deliberation, which is 1 in a blue, draw a card, and then it's in your graveyard. And then if you scry, you can exile it from your graveyard to draw an additional card. Now, that works with our win condition, which is Urza's Command. Now, I like this, because, 1, it's not white. So if your opponent wastes you off white sources, it doesn't matter. You can operate on solely blue mana. I also like that it's an instant speed creature, even though this was not apparently in the Fire Design file because it comes into play tapped, so you can't ambush a creature. But the other thing that I enjoy is that you can just fire this off as a thing that is going to replace itself. So it's a threat that replaces itself. 4 mana is a lot, don't get me wrong. But the other side of this, which I really like with Leyline Dowser, is let's say you weren't ready to make a construct, you could just make a tapped Power Stone token and draw a card. So you can scry 1, draw a card, and make a tapped Power Stone token. That token is then worthwhile to use as the mana ability for Leyline Dowser. So if mana is your bottleneck at this point when you're trying to Leyline Dowser and go up resources, let's say you don't want to spend your cantrips trying to find mana, you can just make mana with your Urza's Command. Now, the last part of this is, before I talk about it, let's the last card that I'm going to include here, which is just it's not special, it's just an additional flex for what Leyline Dowser is asking of us, is Leyline Dowser doesn't want lands in the deck, right? Like, it wants all instants and sorceries. It wants a 100% hit rate. Right now, there's 22 cards in the deck that are going to miss. I'm circumventing back to accumulated knowledge. I'm going with this instead because if you mill it off Leyline Dowser, then every copy of additional accumulated knowledge becomes very good. And I didn't like Council's Deliberation as the payoff to a 4-drop early in the game. If I was playing something like Preordain, or if I had some form of cheaper scry, maybe I'd play Council's Deliberation. But until then, we're playing accumulated knowledge. I get that this is probably going to become something else. I get it, fam. All the people in the comments being like, this card is not playable in this time frame. I get it. This card, obviously not playable. Every time I come back to it, every 6 months or so, it's still unplayable. But we're playing it today because if we mill it, it's good to draw cards with, and then Mystic Sanctuary lets us go up cards. Essentially, this is another way to build a draw engine in your deck outside of Leyline Dowser. So instead of trying to cantrip to find Leyline Dowser and circle around Leyline Dowser, we're playing accumulated knowledge. And now this is sort of the aspect of like when you play Beanstalk, your deck is very good when you have Beanstalk, mediocre when you don't have Beanstalk. And so you have to usually spend all of your cantrips trying to find the Beanstalk. But finding one of your 4-ofs is a fail rate inherent in that. Ask any of your Doomsday players out there. And if you have essentially version 8 copies of an effect, now do we have 8 Leyline Dowsers? No. But like, we have ways that we can start building a engine to make it so that the simplifying of the game with all these white spells can then be converted by going up resources with our engine, which is Leyline Dowser and accumulated knowledge. Okay. Our last thing is, because we don't want lands in our Leyline Dowser deck, and we're already maxed out on Lorien Revealed, and we want an instant or sorcery, I'm going to play a Migratory Route. And I get it. This is also definitely not a card that's playable. We're going to read it once I can find it. All right. Migratory Route. Let's look at this card. Hell yeah, fuck yeah. So Migratory Route is a land cycler. And there are 4 basics in this deck. So it's trying to function as Lorien Revealed number 5, because I would like to not play a 19th land. This is also a win condition later on when you make 4/1/1 birds. Now, the difference between this is that this can go wide, where Urza's Command can only go tall off of a construct. This, in the early game, it's Like if you were to think that this is the third Urza's command or the fifth Lorian revealed, it's sort of my split between that. Is it good enough? Definitely not. Are we trying it today? Oh yeah. All right. So moving on to the sideboard. So the sideboard is a lot more straightforward than boards I've played in the past. I'm not messing around with my splashes all that deeply in ways that I have before. Last time that you saw me play like a several blasts plus a thought seize off of a splash, and then it was a convoluted way of like if they you off color without thinking about it, like they just look, oh, there's a color I can cut somebody off. They will just do that. We were sort of walking into that rake. So we're avoiding that altogether. So I'm only playing the splash for a pyroblast. We have a hydroblast because when you introduce a single effect, you have infinite copies of that effect. Monastery Mentor, I've seen other content creators, shout out to Crucial Words, who has played Miracles on his channel before. And when he was playing a Monetary Mentor build, we would board this in positions that are strange and in ways where I was like, oh, I should probably do a video at some point explaining why when I play this sort of win condition post board, that it's not just a like man plan pivot. This is specifically for planeswalkers. Now, do we board it in against the decks where like going long against them is bad? Like, the cloud post decks and such? Yes, of course. Like we want to end the game as fast as possible. I played things like Geist of Straintrapped in this spot before, and I've talked about how I like to have my threats be blue in that sort of space. But I am also bringing this in again. The Planeswalker decks like Dimir and such, and if they're ever doing a splash for their own Pyroblast, I like having this be not affected by Pyroblast. So I'm playing Monastery Mentor today, and also because accumulated knowledge were a lot of the ground aspects that work with you just making a bunch of monks. But this is specifically for planeswalkers. Like if I see a planeswalker, this is what's coming in to deal with it. If I see a Karn, if I see a Kaito, if I see anything in the planeswalker space, I want to go wide and I want to be able to check it down. This is the same thing typically for a Tameo. Like I'm bringing this in against Dimir more often than not because I want to be able to fight over the planeswalkers, but we're going to see how that actually works with the tests of Archmage Charm today. Okay, so that's what Monastery Mentor is for. It's for planeswalkers. Great. No, obviously we can't beat the anything with a Grim Monolith in it. So we got to bring in no rods. You can't bring in anything with a One Ring in it, so you got to bring in no rods. Phil, no rod is going to be bad against Leyline Dowser. Yeah, if you're bringing in no rod, your Leyline Dowser trying to go long ain't going to do it for you anyway. So if we board out the Leyline Dowsers as part of our plan to bring in Wastelands, no rods, Mentors, and the Lavinia, and then we'll talk about the rest of the things when we get there if we face that matchup. That's okay. We are not winning with this card against those decks anyway because this card wants to go long and their decks do not go long. So we want to just shut them out. Same thing, influencing on the Monastery Mentor package against combo. Bringing in a bunch of surgical extractions today. We're on 3 surgical extractions, A, because it pairs well with Monastery Mentor, but B, because you can go surgical, Mystical Sanctuary, the surgical back to the top, Leyline Dowser, and then cast a surgical again if you ever need to, and it being free in that regard is very good. The other thing that I like about surgical in our game plan today is if we go up against those decks that are really reliant on any particular kind of land, whether it's Urza's Nexus or Urza Saga Recursion or what have you, we board in our Wastelands, and we'll talk about the way that we will plan for that. Migratory Route and Lorien Revealed sort of tie the room together with being able to play colorless sources. This also casts our Leyline Dowser. It has utility in casting a bunch of our other spells, where we'll board out some number of our lands for things that don't matter for Wastelands. Now, if we can go Wasteland and then Surgical, their Planar Nexus, and then strand all of the other lands that are contingent of that Planar Nexus, that seems good. So we're going to try that out. And even though that sounds like not the best plan, those decks will otherwise body us because we're playing a bunch of blank white cards. That's the initial deck tech for this idea around Leyline Dowser. For people being like, Phil, but why aren't you playing Tameo? Don't you know that the flavor text on Leyline Dowser says that you can tap and untap a legendary creature you control and untap this artifact, in which case you can spend an additional mana to draw an additional card if it's another instant or sorcery? Yeah, I tried out Tameo, and of course, Tameo is fine in all the positions where somebody can't answer it, and that's all well and good. But Tameo isn't actually solving any problems for us. Also, this deck is going to be extremely mana hungry anyway, between wanting to be able to cast its spells and interact, and then also Leyline Dowser. And Leyline Dowser flipping over a Tameo is the worst feel bad that there is. Now, I'm not trying to up the density of non-hits for Leyline Dowser, and so Tameo doesn't make the cut in this build. If you want to play Tameo, if you're trying this out because you're like, yeah, Tameo's just a haymaker, do your thing, fam. But I like to play hard control decks, and that means that Tameo doesn't make the cut because she's not actually solving the problem. The last thing that we will talk about is nothing. Let's get into it. Yay! Legacy League. Yay! Join. Go on, voice. No, cancel. Okay. Zach is so he's too. So we're gonna drop from this thing. Don't worry, fam. It's okay. It is all right. I have permission from Zach to drop from this league. We aren't going to be, there's no fighting between us now. All right, 100 play points. Let's get into this.
Hey, Legacy fans, since you're enjoying the show, please like and subscribe to the video. It helps the channel grow.
Support Eternal Turtles on Patreon so we can create even more content and cover events.
Patreons get an ad-free RSS feed, 4 bonus episodes a month, and Discord recognition. Join the Dirtle Maniacs at patreon.com/eternaldurtles.
Now back to the show. So, excuse me. In all of the testing that I've done with Leyline Dowser before, I found that whenever I was in like that beanstalk ideology of like, okay, all my cantrips just sort of have to find this Dowser, otherwise my deck is otherwise anemic, it always felt bad. It just always felt bad having to find the Dowser, and then if they ever answered the Dowser and it only converted 1 card or something like that, but then that was a 3-mana play, and they're usually removing it for less than that. And it just never felt good if they ever forced it, and then I felt like I was compelled to force back because I didn't have any other means to like really get an engine online. And I just don't like being so reliant on a singular card like that as a control mage. Like I like being able to be like, if we're making any sort of exchanges, the exchanges should probably be advantageous to me. And I don't want to be like essentially this nucleus deck around 1 card that sort of compels how I'm supposed to act. And that's where I typically don't like Beanstalk, because Beanstalk's mana is always really terrible. Also, the best form of Beanstalk is being proactive because you want to be able to cash it in, whereas Leyline Dowser lets you be a little bit more reactive because you can look for answers. You can cantrip finding the answers and then find that thing. You can Mystic Sanctuary to find the answer and then put it into your hand at instant speed without triggering a Bowmaster. Like, it does a little bit more, and you can use it off of a cleaner mana base because you can cast it off islands. Now, one of the things that has been valuable for all of the things that we've done with Lorien Revealed. Now, Lorien Revealed is just copies of Mystic Sanctuary 5 through 8. Call it a good card just for that. But what it really does is, because we're playing basic planes in our deck, this being able to cycle, like essentially our basic planes gets to cantrip, is just a really powerful aspect that is, I don't know how you can really understate it. It's like the times where you get to use your planes to cantrip versus the times where you would otherwise not be able to is night and day. Like, that's a time walk. Like, being able to use your mana efficiently is just so valuable in a format where every deck is trying to kill you as fast as possible that, excuse me, if you can essentially use your mana every turn and not have the planes be a hindrance to that. Now, the planes there is tension with the Archmage's Charm. I get it. It's probably going to come up in this league. I hope not. But like the fact that Lorien Revealed and Migratory Route and Leyline Dowser all let you cantrip off of your planes, that's really valuable, and I hope it is highlighted today. Let's see. Zach told me that I need to increase the size of my hand when I play these games. So, card size. I don't know how to actually, increase my hand size. And you showed me how to do it, and I can't remember how to do it, so hopefully that's big enough for y'all. All right. What does this hand do? Nothing. It's got the tension we talked about. It's the planes in the Arctic Charm. Again, I hate this. This is the experiment today. Maybe it's not good enough. We'll see. There's a thing with miracles when you open up hands like this, you think like, oh, the fail rate of miracles is when you draw the miracles. And so in our deck, we're really only playing Mystic Sanctuary, so that's 5. If you think of those as like 5 miracles, those are the cards we don't want in our hand, typically in the early game, because this doesn't come online until you get your 4th land drop, and Terminus needs a brainstorm to be enabled. So this hand doesn't work in that it has a planes and the Archmage's Charm together, even though 2 short splashers against the right deck would be good. But the fact that it has 2 miracles and is already looking for something, this looks to me as already a mulligan to 5, so we're going to mulligan this one and look for something better. This one is pretty good. I mean, if you have a wasteland, it's like this Ponder is sort of committed to getting another land. And also, the tension of accumulated knowledge with Force of Will, like, this is just pairing out, trying to be Leyline Dowser's 5 through 8. Like, if we have to force pitching an accumulated knowledge, I'm not going to get queued over that. We're going to keep this one. I think we bottom Swords is the redundant piece here, so I guess we'll just bottom one of those. The problem with white cards, sometimes you don't know which card is more valuable to you. Like, sometimes this prismatic ending is going to be dead against certain things. The Swords Splasher is going to be a lot better. If they were to go like turn 1 exploration or something, you'd be kicking yourself for not having the planes. Basic Swamp Dark Ritual, like, are we supposed to force that or assume that they're going to do something after the fact that we'll be able to force? I've also seen decks where, like, they'll go turn 1 Dark Ritual into, like, Barrogoyf these days, and if I can just spend my Swords to Plowshares fighting over that, I'm interested. This is a position where, like, the fact that they're following up with the Thoughtseize, like, okay, if the Thoughtseize, if this isn't just like a straight up combo deck where they're killing us, they'll take the force and then they'll kill us. If they're not, then they're going to go, oh, well, the thing that I wanted to do now is going to get blanked by these white cards, so now these white cards have to matter. Like, they might also think, like, okay, I have to just, like, not care about any of this stuff, and I'm just going to take the ponder and try and cut them that way. There's a bunch of different options depending on what they have, but, like, yeah, if they went turn 1 Dark Ritual and we were supposed to just force will it in the blind, we're already on a mulligan to 6. I'm, like, not interested in forcing the Dark Ritual off a basic Swamp Dot deck, especially when, like, we need time, and we have to assume that our white cards are playing this deck have text to begin with. And if we just ran into a matchup where, like, okay, yeah, we mull it into 6, open 2 white cards, and neither of them are going to have text against Storm-based combo, okay, sure, yeah, that's fine. Yes, they're taking Prismatic Ending, so I assume that they're on some sort of Saga Storm, or they're just on this type of shit, man. This is what I was saying. Like, sometimes, like, they just play creatures off their Dark Ritual because they have to be faster in these formats. Like, you know, like, I'll take a couple hits off this thing. Just, like, ponder, find our Terminus, and, like, sweep all this stuff up. This is the kind of deck that we want to play against, by the way. Like, the one where they're just playing creatures that don't give them any amount of card advantage, and they're already down to 2 cards with this, so it's like, we're built on being able to dismantle this type of stuff. So now that we found our second land, I'm okay just spending one of these things. I'm going to get rid of the Netherworth. Spending this, checking our life total. We have a Force Will for a follow-up, and then we can start rebuilding with this accumulated knowledge, or we can start rebuilding with this ponder, depending on what they try and do. But, like, the second land makes it so that we get the swords. They know about the swords, so, like, they're not going to put anything else in until they solve this. And then because we mulligan to 6, and because we have this Force of Will, which is not necessarily going to convert with anything of value, I would rather slow the clock down than cantrip to find a Terminus. This ponder in my head before we drew this land was the presumption that it was going to have to be the second land, in which case, like, it still will be now. But now if they just spend something on their last card, Barrogoyf, we'll fight over this guy, because now that the accumulated knowledge is a turn away. And then we're just, like, going card for card, and, like, I just imagine that our deck is so much better set up to play the game of, okay, are we just top decking, especially with Ponder to rebuild. So I know we just did an episode where Ponder we talked about was bad, but, like, Ponder would have been bad if they were playing the Dark Ritual deck that kills us rather than just plays a bunch of creatures and makes our win cards have text. We're going to fetch here. There's the option of being like, oh, yeah, you can get another Tundra and then fight over, or a Tundra and then cantrip to try and find your second land. But we have so many, and if we get hit by another Wasteland off the top, I'm just not going to worry about that right now. Like, this is also interesting in that we'll hit our second land drop, we'll hit a Force Will, we'll take some chunks. I'm cool with this because I do want to hit my second land drop, but is that good enough, actually? Let's think. That's good enough. It'll be 2 lands. Then we have Brainstorm, Force, whatever they can do off the top. They're on. No, we're not going to use it. I'm not going to get greedy, fam. We're not going to get greedy. It's arguable in that position, like, once we commit to it, that we're just supposed to keep the just draw the Force. That way we can force pitch blue card if anything were to happen. But off 1 card on 1 land, it's just, like, not the world that we're living in. But, like, I could see, like, arguably that being the thing that's incorrect, rather than just drawing to take a piece here. So play this out. We know the top of our deck is a Mystic Sanctuary. I'm cool, like, taking 1 more hit. I'm going to Brainstorm probably in the last step, because I would like to be able to go tap Leyline Dowser, land, start getting off. Or if we find an additional land under the Mystic Sanctuary, you certainly will be able to clip this Force Will that I don't want to spend anyway. Ooh, even better. Take this Thwart. Do I let them take the Thwart? That way we Force? No, I'll let them take the Force. I'll just let them take the Force, I think. This was a bit of a bad brainstorm. I guess I should have shuffled off that ponder. Let's see. What card do I want to let them take? Yeah, maybe I'll let them take. All right, we'll go like this. I'll let them take a Force. All right, so we're going to go down to 6 because of this thing. That ponder wasn't the death knell. I just figured that ponder plus the brainstorm, and then we just hit the wrong half of the deck. Although it would be exceptionally funny if I, like, was talking trash about ponder, then played ponder incorrectly, and then we lose to this deck that, like, just is Dark Ritualing out, like, cheap beaters. And then just naturally draws 2 Wastelands. I mean, fortunate for us, like, the correct play there is obviously to cut us off Tundra, and then we'd probably lose the game, because we have a dead draw coming. We're down to 4 and then they get a 2-turn clock, and now we're at the mercy of the draw. Also arguable that when I got that Tundra, and then they naturally drew a second Wasteland versus our double cantrip that found pretty anemic. All right. So I think it's cool that we lost that game because, you know, I just punted and played incorrectly, it sounds like. So rather size is good as another thing to do to clean up their board. Vitalize fine, all of this stuff fine. Could argue that the Force of Wills are not actually going to be trading with anything that we care about that's relevant. And so I'd be happy to bring in mentors as additional ways to like check the board. Essentially because we only play one Terminus, so that then you're going to play against a deck that would love to have more Terminus in it. That I'm okay just having essentially, if you think of these cards as just sort of something like that, it can be a little bit more helpful. Let's see, they're on a bunch of 1-drops. You could argue that the Force Negation is also going to come out. I'm trying to think like what would they board against us, and I'm essentially thinking like, do we need to be concerned about like surgicals and stuff? In which case it's like okay a couple. It's also reasonable to just like be like, yeah, maybe we just want more lands, that way we ensure that we don't miss a land drop. Let's see. All right, I'll keep in some number of forces. They're on mono black. Like, would they be? They didn't show us anything that's like Saga or anything like that. Like, we didn't see anything other than Dark Ritual threats and Wastelands. All right, yeah. Since I don't know what else they could be on, I'll just leave the Force of Wills as like a way to like as a catch-all, and then maybe a way to like we'll protect the Monastery Mentor at some point. Supposedly, I'm not exactly sure what would work there, but like we didn't show them accumulated. Oh no, we pitched an accumulated knowledge, so they might bring in their graveyard hate with that. But if they want to go after that instead of our like engine, I think that's fine. All right. A lot of thinking for the Dark Ritual mono black deck, but you know, so here we are. Sure would like to play first. This hand looks great. We're going to get Thoughtseize on turn 1, so we're going to assume that they're going to Thoughtseize, take the Prismatic Ending, and then we'll just rebuild from there. I don't think I would fight a Force over a Thoughtseize, but like we'll see. It depends on like what their start actually looks like. We'll keep this. The second Wasteland, like the natural Wasteland, like the essentially 2 Wastelands in their top 10 cards, 11 cards, bodied when like you know they were able to just pump out a bunch of threats on us with a Thoughtseize, like. But I guess I should have shuffled that Ponder. Like I'm thinking that we need to hit land drops and then we're good. We'll have a Force to play through. We'll take some chunks. That's okay because the top of our deck will like so much of our deck at that point is live outside of exactly the type of stuff that we drew, including lands. But I can see the argument there that the game was lost on that Ponder. So play this out. We'll represent Brainstorm in response to a Thoughtseize. Not that they wouldn't just do that anyway. I love yeah. We're in a world where like you could potentially make somebody do some sort of different action other than what would otherwise happen always. So like here's the spot. They're doing it again, of course. Like is this the spot where like we were supposed to fight over this? Like I don't know. We have the Archmage's Charm as an additional removal spell. Like if they go Dark Ritual here, Thoughtseize, and then take what? What are you gonna like? I mean, I don't think that maybe I'm playing this wrong. Like, let me know in the comments if you think I'm supposed to just like, go down to nothing off of a Dark Ritual. And then like, if their sequence is just always going to be Dark Ritual plus multiple threat plus duress as an opening hand. All right. Like that's the way it's going to go. But like, I feel like we're just set up against a deck like this as long as we don't get chunked into oblivion and we have 2 answers in the same way that we did last time. We have a way to rebuild and we're on the play this time. So like they can't start cutting us off our forces with natural wastelands on top of their draw. Like last game, they drew only wastelands and 1 swamp with the Dark Ritual. So like any land that they drew beyond that is just a dead draw. So like maybe my thought process here is correct, and I would love for people to chime in and tell me if they disagree with the idea. The other difference is like, oh, now they have perfect information, they know what they sequence, but like this doesn't strike me as the type of deck that like with Dark Ritual, like considering like, oh, what is the sequence that we do? Nothing like the benefit of playing a deck with nothing but bad cards in it is they only have the option to take bad cards. Like if they just went Dark Ritual, thing, and then have this, and then they have a follow up on Stalker. Like the Archmage's Charm can take the Stalker if it ever becomes a problem, assuming that they don't also have a Wasteland that they just naturally drew in their thing. I am firing this off now. I'm not interested in getting into the Bowmaster fight right now, and we know that like we're spending it on this. I'm not going to try and brainstorm with no cycle effects going on. with anything else, like we just want to continue developing. Like if they have the natural wasteland on top of everything else that they've done, of course they do, to like strip this stuff, like their hand is exactly identical to what they did last time, where it's just like the only thing that they draw is exactly this plus dark ritual plus action plus wasteland. Like, all right, yeah, like if the Nutter Butters are going to Nutter Butt, then it's arguable that like, what is our hand actually going to look like that is going to be this thing? Arguable that you force a will the dark ritual to just slow down, but then, okay, you force pitch the Urza Saga or Urza's command, and then they just do it again next turn. I guess like it's arguable that like I'm just supposed to spend the force of will rather than let them take it. But all right, so we're gonna body this, play this tapped, pass, and then this Archmage's Charm is gonna have to steal the threat. All right, so I'm gonna hide Swords to Plowshares for now. No, I'm gonna hard the Archmage's Charm because that would be the thing that is gonna keep us alive. They find another Wasteland naturally in their top 11 cards, like bad for us. That's fine. Happy to have hid the Archmage's Charm. So now we have land instant sorcery, so ours will also be a 3/4. Descended is only a permanent, right? Permanent in the graveyard. Okay, well, we don't have any permanents, so I think like the correct line is to take the Nethergorth. Our draw also like only finding naturally one white source in all of our things to their one wasteland. It's like, yeah, that also feels bad. So they know about the Archmage's Charm, so we'll see. Like now that this is a 4/4, I think this is the target. That way we can, block with this. There are no cards in hand. We're drawing Monastery Mentor, so our next turn is not doing anything, but we are going to have to stymie some bleeding here. So I'm going to let them try and take a game action unless they want to go to combat first. They know about the Archmage's Charm, so they know this is going to happen. If they want to play a Bowmaster instead. Okay, so I want to have draws like this in my top 13. So if they play Bowmaster, they ping us down to 11. They make another body. We take this. And then our next draw is dead. And then after that, if we draw land or anything, then we have Mentor plus thing. So we just are at the mercy of our tap deck no matter what. Gain control, cast this, take this. So now if they want to ping this, I'll trade just to get these things off the board. They don't have a third land to escape this thing. And if they do, then it comes back a lot softer. And they're pinging me, but like they're giving them the option there to ping this so we can do a trade. I'm happy to do rather than stymie, because like I don't want to sit here in tension. I want to soften this. I want to soften this board knowing that like our next draw is dead. You can be like, oh man, Phil, you're not playing enough white sources. I'm playing 4, 8, 12, 13 white sources, which is how many white sources I would play if I were playing any other build of miracles anyway. Between 4 Lorien, 1 migratory route, 4, 8, 12, 13, 14. I'm actually playing 14 because of the migratory route. So it's 4 Flooded Strand, 4 Tundra, the Plains, that's 9, and then 4 Lorien revealed in the migratory route. Archmage's Charm saving a bunch of life here. Pretty sweet. Taking Monastery Mentor, that's fine. Now we're talking. So what is the position to do here? Is this where I make a 2/2? Do I want to gain life and then pump this thing? Probably not. I do think that the argument is going to be, let's see. I'm going to see what they do here first. This is obviously going to get white. I'm going to make it plain so we actually have a way to get online here. We have 3 islands for our Mystic Sanctuaries going long. If they pass, then they could draw a second Bowmaster, in which case I wouldn't want to scry 1 draw card here. But if I draw, go to 11, they have a 2/2. This is still a 4/4. And then I have a 1/1, or I could put a 2/2 into play. I am going to use my mana here, and I will let them grow this thing. I will draw a card off the Urza's command. So they do draw the second Bowmasters like we were just talking about, because of course they would. So this will ping me, make it a 2/2. This then would draw a card and make it a 3/3, and then they could start chunking, but like we would have the Abyss in that regard. But then this would make this a 4/4, in which case it's arguable that I would want this to just be a Power Stone to make it a 2/2, and then check this thing so it can actually trade with this. Bowmaster is in. Cast this. We want to. So we're definitely making the construct, and now the question is, do I want to let them make a 4/4? The answer is probably not. So we're just going to make a tap Power Stone. That's an interesting draw because now we can go pumps. We're still in a position though where I can't take game actions. I'm at the mercy here of a double Bowmaster in the top 15. Second Archmage's Charm is really, really good. Just as a natural counterspell, I can also continue stealing their stuff. Any white removal spell is excellent, making bodies. Now we got 2 4/4s. At what point do I start going after them, fam? At what point do we start attacking them? Probably now. Do they have a creature in the yard? They don't have a creature in the yard, so I don't want to let them double block and then grow this thing. So, but Then if they block this, they shrink my dude. But if they also make any exchange, I'm happy with that. And I would also like to, I'm an aggro player at the end of the day, fam. Like everybody's like, oh, Phil, play some win conditions. Look at this board. Look at all the win conditions on this board. So many win conditions. Just infinite win conditions. Yeah, go down to 10. Bowmaster just being broken means that every cantrip is a bad draw. So hopefully we just don't draw any of the cards that are fun to play with. I wonder if the mortuary is for any thing. So this one, do I want to like draw a card to grow and then it gets discarded? No, they can just have it. It's like they could ping, and then this thing becomes a 4/4, and then I draw a card, and then they just catch whatever that is. Interesting, reasonable. This is a position where Leyline Dowser is crazy. Leyline Dowser would be crazy. Migratory route would be crazy. Leyline Dowser, fam, let's go. Let's go. Oh, this mana can be spent to cast. These things are so confusing. This mana can't be spent to cast a non-artifact spell. So I could have used power keys to cast the Dowser. Yeah, I'm going to do this at the end of turn. Oh, I swung. Bam. Leyline Dowser. This is like, it's nice to see like in this game, like aside from puns, blah, 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 blah. Like it's nice to see that like Leyline Dowser as like a draw. Like, don't get me wrong, there were a bunch of draws, like any of the cantrips are very bad. But like drawing the Leyline Dowser here in the face of double Bowmaster and then being able to actually continue developing across this shit is like, it's so hot. It's so hot. Definitely should have attacked, but like, yeah, I'll take an accumulated knowledge. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, in this position I'll take an accumulated knowledge. Let's go. Ponder. Let's get in. Let's rumble. Let's do some rumble. Until they want to do something, I'm good. I'm good to do something. Yeah, I'm good to sit. And like there's the argument that like, oh, you can draw one of your white cards and the white cards can be deployed. Both of our resist commands are here. If we flip over a land that's bad, I would like to play another Mystic Sanctuary to put any of this stuff back on top of our deck. But like I don't want to flip a land. If I flip a Lorien Reveal, that's very good because that's just another Mystic Sanctuary. We're also in a holding pattern. If we take action, we can take action, but I don't want to take something and then not be able to use it, or it's just a land and that we're not sending resources in a way that like, they know about this, they don't know about this. I don't know how much thinking that can be done because, they have their board. It is what it is. As Leyline Dowser with this stuff is checking this stuff. We're like, it's nice to see like the combination of the Urza's Command with the Leyline Dowser. Like all of this is coming together as like, like the idea of this is coming together. Granted, this is like mono block aggro, but like the fact that like fruition, this is coming together against something that we talked about in the deck tech is kind of fun. Another Stalker. Yeah, you have another Stalker. They're not going to attack. No. Play this correctly. Yeah, I'll take a brainstorm. The weird thing on Moto is like you have to click the card that you milled to put it back in your hand as opposed to like, like 2 additional clicks for some reason. Play this. Now, do I want to triple Abyss them? If I triple Abyss them, they go block here, keep the 2 Bowmaster. Maybe they don't. But like, regardless, they can't kill me. Getting in again, fam. This is like new testing. One thing that we definitely should do is like if we're thinking that we're going to alpha here to try and make them do some blocks, then I should Leyline Dowser first because if I find a white card and I can blow up whatever they're doing after the fact, like they don't know that. That's very good. This double here is great. I'm happy to make a whole bunch of trades. I would like. Do I want to just kill the Stalker? No, I'll let them eat their graveyard and go back in. Or do I want to kill this thing? If I kill this thing, then this becomes a 4/5. So yeah, I need to have them spend that. Great. So this is a spot now where I would like to. Yep, I'll take a prismatic ending. Now we're off to the races. Clip that guy, aka this guy. 2 cards. Mentor's off. Blooded Translate. I'm happy to have this Sanctuary for when we want it. All right, so the game's done. Happy to see that the Urza's Command package like ended up working out once we hit our mana sources. And it's also possible that like the like prismatic thing is just like that's what I mean. Like we have those off-floor sources that weren't like if you were playing straight blue white, the Trop or the Vault can become additional fetches, in which case you just have cleaner mana and then you don't run into those positions. But like prismatic ending against the field is just so bad if you can't get up to 3 and 4. So it's like, what are you actually supposed to do? Like that's what I mean by like prismatic ending makes you more exposed to wasteland, but like if you don't play prismatic ending to the full extent, then you just get bodied by a match lottery, and it's like you really need to maximize this being as good as possible. And while it's unfortunate that like this is the only thing, like man, I remember there was a discussion when this first card it was first designed, it was an instant, and then it was I think Sam Black was like, yeah, you can't. When he was helping them out, he was like, you can't have this be an instant speed. It would just be the best removal spell ever printed. And it's like, yeah, I think we're in this space where it would be nice to have the best removal spell ever printed because they're making the best threats ever printed every set. Anyway, we're not going to change our deck. All right, one lander. Man, we drew the fifth flooring revealed instead of any of the proper ones. We're on the draw. We're on the draw. We can force a play. If we hit a land, then we hit every land for the rest of the game because we can migratory route, and then we have accumulated knowledges to just go off. But like, is that good enough on the draw? Man, this is an iffy one. Fam, you guys got to get in the comments right now and tell me if you agree that this hand is a keep or not, because we're on the draw. If we draw a land, this hand is crazy. This hand is so good if we draw a land. But I don't know if we can. I like the. Oh man, fam. We have 17 lands, 17, 21. So our outs are any of our other 17 lands plus 4 Lord revealed. So we have 21 outs. We're 1 in 3, and we get. All right, for science. We're just gonna lose this. But like we have, because we're on the draw, we have our first draw and our second draw, and each one of those is we are a third to get a third of our deck is going to deliver a land, and so that means that a third of our deck twice is maybe not enough. But any cantrip on top of that, Cabronin would be so proud because I have ponders in my deck, and if I draw a ponder, that'd be very good. We're fighting over this one. I'm not interested in having this game be about that now. Do we want to fight over with Urza's Command, or do we pitch the Archmage's Charm? This is a way to like stay deep. It also could be second accumulating knowledge, but like while we're late, like is it just the most expensive card? Yeah, it's got to be just the most expensive card, right? Yeah. I mean, they're gonna tear our hand to shreds anyway on the follow-ups. Hit the Tundra, fam. We got there. We're about to bury our opponent in card draw if they don't leave up Bowmaster mana. And if they do leave up Bowmaster mana, then we'll fetch a basic. You got another Goy, and that's all she wrote. Would I like Determinus? I would. Let's just simplify the game state, fam. What is going on? Cast Terminus for its miracle cost. Play this. Now, it's arguable that I keep that in hand because now if they have a wasteland, then we have to draw a second land. But they didn't deploy land last turn, so like it would have had to have been wasteland off the top, make our land draw. And then after this, like if they're unable to deploy their stuff, they were really contingent on that Dark Ritual to spam a bunch of things all at once. We like that. So I think let's Island Cycle. Let's get ourselves a Mystic Sanctuary. We're going to target. We can put Lauren Revealed back on top, which is make sure that we draw another Mystic Sanctuary to get this thwart going, and I think that's the correct line. If they don't do anything, then we get to AK into that, and then we get to start just doing this engine, and that's hot. Because once we get into the thwart looping Mystic Sanctuary part of the deck, like there's just nothing that they're going to be able to do. We're holding up Counterspell if they do anything with this Archmage's Charm. If they do anything that's interesting, we can also steal something. If they Bowmaster, I'll absolutely counter it. This is one of those positions like, is this something that I care about? Like, I guess we can be mana efficient, and then we can just go Mystic Sanctuary. Next turn, we'll go Mystic Sanctuary, have access to 4 mana, and just reload entirely. Counter target spell. I'll take 1. Starting here in the event that like we don't necessarily want to fire this off. Depends. Like if we had a removal spell, I'd be happy to use a removal spell here, and then like just take a turn off here. In this position, though, it's also possible that I can just do this, draw 2. Yeah, I'm going to hold on to this because this can help us reload. But also, if they extend another creature, then we get to put this Terminus back on top, and I'm interested in that. I am going to fire off A, to play around Bowmaster, but B, if we draw another Prismatic Ending, I would just fire it off. Being able to hold up this mana, like if we found a Swords or a Prismatic Ending, that's also fine, but then the Florian Revealed, being able to ensure that we're still using our mana, we're going to find a Mystic Sanctuary next turn on the following turn. If they deploy another creature here, we get to go Revitalize into Terminus, which is really hot. So before they get to access that, I'm going to Island Cycle this guy, Mystic Sanctuary. So imagine this, if this isn't for anything else, it's just for Descend. Yeah. So this turn, I'm going to draw whatever we draw. I'm going to Mystic Sanctuary, Terminus back on top, assuming the draw doesn't change what we do. But I'm going to Terminus back on top, and then I'm just going to sit because I don't want them to this Revitalize drawing this Terminus. All well and good. But if in my upkeep now, Or if in their upkeep I revitalize, the revitalize will get exiled with the trigger on the stack, and then they can sack the Dothi Voidwalker to cast this, draw a card, and gain some life, and then the Terminus only catches one thing. But they're not going to sit back on this. They're like assuming that we would just go to 8 and then Terminus. Cool. But once they swing, once this is tapped, then I'll fire this off, and we have counter protection, and everything's great. Gain 3. Would you like Terminus? Yes. Now, whatever the follow up here is, like, there's the argument that maybe we do spend this sword on this Mystic Sanctuary so start picking up a win condition because we are low on clock and we would like to finish this game. Another Dothi Voidwalker is actually something that I am going to fight over because that means that this engine is just offline. A Stalker. Drawing a land there was like the worst possible option. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put, I think I want to put Archmage's Charm on top. Because the argument is Archmage's Charm is both a counterspell and a removal spell. The argument for accumulated knowledge is that they find a Bowmaster that would be really bad for us. So I'm going to do this. Yes. The reason not putting Migratory Route on top immediately is that they just draw Wasteland and then time walk that effect. I'd rather not walk into that. So if they time walk here, or if they Wasteland, then we'll still have access to accumulate Archmage's Charm plus the Mystic Sanctuary for whatever else that we need. And also, if they would deploy another threat, we have Archmage's Charm with the Mystic Sanctuary with the Terminus back on top, and then we can draw cards and then sweep the board. And that's also hot. Yeah, so Baragorth, this is a fantastic sequence for us. Because they did that, we're a little bit late. We'll have to win the game at some other point. I am going to do this. It's another one of those instances I am going to let them go to combat here before they do anything. They don't know that we're sitting with a bunch of lands. They want to fire off a removal spell or a discard spell or something like that. Before they get action, we're going to draw 2 cards, cast, target. If they want a Bowmaster, they can, and then it gets swept up. Swords is also excellent. Cast this. Wait, Swords will just clip the follow-up. If there is a follow-up, there is not a follow-up. Brainstorm. I am going to Brainstorm and then remove. Right now, I'd like to find some action. If they are sandbagging the Bowmaster, then I would get to. So we're going to put this and ponder. Play this. Play the island out. This is a shuffle. Mystic Sanctuary is great. It means we get the Migratory Route next turn, and then start checking some life total, and we should be able to win within our 4.5 minutes. Or we'll just win right now. Hell yeah, fam. We're on the board. Can you believe it? That's our first win ever with a Miracles deck on any of these leagues, I guess? I don't know. Actual win, not effective win because, I ran out of clock because I'm talking and I play slow because Moto sucks. Moto doesn't suck, fam. Moto's fine. It's just when you don't have a bunch of reps to move speedily through everything, it's just you end up taking a lot more time and, so and so, so and so. That was one of those games where the only thing that you ever really want to draw all the time is Terminus. But Terminus I just find is so bad against so much of the meta right now that I keep one of in the deck because as we're talking about with Mystic Sanctuary, once you introduce one effect, you have infinite of that effect, which you saw that game. But I think if you wanted to play more than one Terminus in this current environment, you'd probably just play them in the board. And it's at that point you're okay, well, I'll just play Wrath of the Skies or something like that to have a little bit more crossover against Urza Saga and stuff. I would like to play first. Obviously a keep, fam. Obviously a keep. We have some force for whatever action they're doing. It's just going to pitch the Surge's Command. But then, we have ways to rebuild. This was I like that, we're showing up and seeing AK show up a little bit in this thing. Yeah, I'm sure AK should just be something else that I haven't thought of. Get in the comments, tell me what else you think we should test instead. I could see a world where it should be Deduce, because Deduce is the card that I had initially in this build when I tried it in paper because it's another artifact and it works with these guys. But the fact that the deck felt so mana hungry between trying to get cantripping with. So this is great. We do a second accumulated knowledge. We are going to go bing, bang, boom. Do we like to use Ponder's ability? No. That it like, oh, it is, you can instant speed, make your constructs bigger, and that like can sort of mess up combat math. And then like Deduce is obviously very good with the Mystic Sanctuaries, and it's possible that it should just be Deduce, but like the fact that it Deduce is way more mana intensive, and even though it has that synergy, I've tried it. It's cool, it's great, but it is slower. It is more mana intensive, and so I hadn't tried it yet with accumulated knowledge, and I wanted to give that a go. Just because this is less mana efficient, but you do need to find the second copies. But like, you are also a deck that's just like built to have a bunch of redundant pieces of things. I'm passing here because they're playing Verdant Catacombs. Like, that doesn't strike me as like, I would think that it's something like, if they have a wasteland and they were to fire off a wasteland on me, then I would want to spend it on Lorien, reveal the final second land, rather than accumulated knowledge, because we know that the top of our library is a Mystic Sanctuary. But now we're in this position where they're holding a Bowmaster. But I'm okay to do it because I'm happy to spend this force on a Bowmaster if they have it, because our hand is just going to be a lot of draw spells. Silent Cycle this guy. I'm getting another Tundra because we're already exposed to Wasteland, so I'm just going to play that out, and then we'll have Mystic Sanctuary online after the fact. This Mystic Sanctuary with accumulated knowledge is going to start to go crazy. This is an example where accumulated knowledge is, its ceiling is a lot higher than Deduce, because Deduce would just be sucking up a lot of mana on both turns, or every round, whereas like Mystic Sanctuary, putting this like draw two, Mystic Sanctuary draw two, it becomes much more like, it's just a higher ceiling. Like, it has worse synergy here, but a higher synergy here. Like, we're building the deck here, so that's awesome. So they haven't committed anything. They just went land go each turn. I'm happy to just continue bodying. So if I go Mystic Sanctuary, let's accumulate it on top. Yes. Here we're going to see, like, because we have all of this action, mana is going to be our bottleneck. We don't need more resources right now until they show me we have. We have double Force of Will. I'm going to let them move. I'm actually going to make a Power Stone plus Construct, because the Power Stone is going to be able to power out this Leyline Dowser. And then from there, like, between this and accumulated knowledge, like, we're just going to have infinite resources forever. If they are trying to do something in the Merit Lage space, then we're just going to make sure that they can't use any of their tutors. What does this guy do? Exile a creature card when evaluating becomes a copy of that creature. Okay, so they can instant speed something at us. Got it. Cast. Tap Power Stone. Construct. 2 artifacts, fam. Bang. Plan this out. Get in there for 3. Swords, Plowshares. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to see the argument here. I'm going to hold up. I'm going to leave up double blue, or counter magic. I want to be able to go AK, but then force plus pitch. But can hold this up, and then we can force pitch if we need to, and then accumulated knowledge goes crazy. And then that also means that, like, if we want to spend this and not end up spending 2 mana here, we then get to Douse. There's the argument, and you can see the sequences that are kind of fun in this deck with Leyline Dowser. Is like, you can ponder to ensure that you're going to hit a spell. Like, part of the cantrips and like where they work is like, you can cantrip to like sort of breeze through a ponder stack, knowing that you're going to hit with Leyline Dowser. All right, so Cavern Soul is going to blank our whole hand, and then we're going to have to find some white cards to combat whatever they're putting into play. They're putting on Human. I wonder what that's going to name. This is another sort of cool looking brew, so I'm not exactly sure. An Academy Rector. Do they have some sort of stack outlook going on? If they have okay, well, they could have tapped this, and it's not Cabal Therapy that they have, but they're just sitting on it. All right, well, I can't counter it, so we're going to let it resolve. Oh, this thing can just sack a creature. Add 1 mana of any color by sacking a creature. Okay, so that was their thing that they have. Okay. So what could they do? What could they get? I assume it's just like some busted Planeswalker that I don't have an out to in my deck. I'm going to AK. Draw 2. If I find Brainstorm, then I'll stack it up. Okay, so there's never a window that Source Plowshares would have been able to catch this, because I never would have had priority. Is there a window where I could have made priority? No, I don't think so. Okay, let's see what they get. Maybe if like they do the Overwhelming Splendor, I'm supposed to tap this, but like, I don't know. I don't know what Academy Rector would get these days. I assume it's the new Ugin that just like bodies. A Dovescape. Okay. Cast a non-creature spell. Okay. We're playing against the Bruce today, man. So whenever a player casts a spell, counter that spell, and then create X/1/1 bird tokens with flying. Okay, so this would give me 2 birds of instant speed, bird, 5 birds, 3 birds. But everything is going to resolve for the rest of the game. So creature spells get through, my non-creature spells don't. Okay. So my entire hand is blank, but it's a bunch of birds. So we're just going aggro on the birds. We're going bird aggro, bird grow. Question is, do I want to activate this Dowser now? I don't think I do, because I don't want to go to discard. All right. The argument there: cast a ponder, counter, make a bird. Use it as forcible fodder. That way I can go 3 birds on whatever they cast, or unless it's another human. Plague engineer on birds, you say? Okay, well, that's a human, not a thing, but I can't counter it. So they just had a natural, they just did nothing and then had a natural lock. Is that what I'm seeing? That's Douse. I think the question is, what out do I have in my deck now? Is there an out in my deck? I don't think there's an out in my deck because my deck is entirely is non-creatures. They just naturally had it with Cavern. Yeah, so we're seeing like the game, like, yeah, they naturally have all the things, like they had exactly one spell. Really what they had was Cavern of Souls. I'm just trying to think, hold on. I understand that this is slow and you guys are like, pack it up. But I'm trying to think if there's anything that I actually have in my deck that could get rid of this, but I don't think there is. They just have a thing that counters my entire deck. Okay, let me actually take a look. It's also really funny because my thing makes birds. All right, so do I actually have any outs here? If they give me, this is all, so this gets countered. Okay, cool. Sweet. Lost Cavern of Souls. Cavern of Souls, baby, wins another one. All right, so what do we do against that? Do we have anything against it? I don't think we do. I mean, I guess we could bring in just like, if we get to that stage, Lavinia blocks their thing, their plague, and then we can build a Gaia blessing to put infinite Lavinias into our deck. Are we at that baseline where the introduction of infinite creatures in our deck by having Lavinia? I mean, that'd be really sweet. That'd be really, really sweet. I think we do want Wastelands just in the advent of like, oh yeah, if we can cut them off with their 4-drop, I'm interested in doing that. The question then becomes, though, do we care about, like, they're not wastelanding us. Would they have blood moons or anything like that? Is there anything that we don't need against them? Could see Revitalize just not being necessary. I don't want like too many lands in my deck. What would Terminus do? Is Terminus doing anything against them? Like, I can see argument for just cutting like 2 of these things plus the migratory route. But again, like I want to be conscious of Leyline Dowser and having a bunch of things. I think there's also argument maybe that we, like, if they put the guy on Monk, then we can still check them that way, like, because then they can't go birds. I think Force Negation is probably soft, even though it can hit Cabal Therapy. Force Will might be soft. Yeah, 22 lands is just way too much. I'm just going to cut some basics. I'm still going to have access to basics. I want to have access to, but they have 4-drops that Prismatic. Is Prismatic Ending even good enough? Maybe Prismatic Ending is too slow. I'm going to cut the Terminus because I don't know what they would actually need. We're playing a lot more stuff that I don't want to right now. I think we cut the Migratory Route because they want to name Bird anyway. It's also possible to cut an Urza's Command. Archmage's Charm might be too slow, but it's a counterspell. Possible Force of Will is unnecessary. All right. We'll go like that and just assume our wastelands or spells and see if Leyline Dowser doesn't punish us too much. This is not a deck that I was obviously considering, so I didn't have a board plan wholly for it, so we're doing a lot. So this Prismatic Ending, I'm like not sure what it actually, if it could convert with anything. It's possible that it just doesn't have any targets. We just didn't see enough that game because they only showed us one spell. I mean, we'll keep this on the back of, like, it's obviously a good hand, but I'm not sure about this Prismatic Ending because I just don't know exactly what we're playing against. AK just loading up here again, the ceiling is a lot higher when you just get these natural draws. The question now I'm thinking is, do I care about getting a white source right now? Would they have anything to like cut us off? They have chokes. Maybe they have choke. They probably have choke. They're an Academy Rector deck. So if they have choke, then it just doesn't matter if I get this Tundra because they would play choke and not Wasteland. All right, so this Prismatic Ending is going underneath because I don't want a second one. I'm going to draw this Force in the event that they do something crazy. And then we'll draw our second land in the Lorien Revealed. Where we'll be able to waste their thing if they do anything, if it looks like a juicy target, or so we'll be able to go Wasteland plus Lorien, or be able to find our second land, and then we'll go off to AK. Take Cabal Therapy in the blind name Force Will. All right, like, oh, they're just going to Thoughtseize. Okay, yeah, so they Thoughtseize, the answer would still be taking Force Will here. You're certainly not going to take an AK and level me up there. They took a Prismatic Ending. Oh, that's so interesting. Because that, I mean, are we leveling up? Is something happening where they're leveling me up? Do I want to save this for, yeah, I just want to simplify this game and then bury them with Accumulate and all that, so that's what we're going to do. They know my hand, so I am going to Island Cycle. And I'm doing that because I don't want to do something where they like play a thing. I don't know if they're on like some weird shit, but like I've gotten got by like Dark Ritual into Opposition Agent before, and I'm just like not interested in that space. There's the thought of like, you know, like I want to hit the quarry, or I want to hit the whatchamacallit, the Cavern of Souls. Well, Cavern of Souls doesn't give you an option. If they have the sack outlet already on the table for the thing, then we're not going to be there either. I am going to continue simplifying the game state, even though the argument might be no, spend your mana accordingly. This strikes me as the type of deck where, because I don't know what they're doing, and now that they're on Oscillate Pride, I don't want to give them an option. So game 1, they were Academy Rector. Game 2, they're just energy, or they just combination. So did game 1, did they board into energy? Did game 1, they just draw nothing but weird nonsense, and then Natural Plague Engineer and Academy Rector plus lands? And that's it? And none of these other 1-drops? Should I have used a Force Will on this Guide of Souls? What's scarier? What is scarier? What's scarier? What's scarier? Letting them have one of 2 colors in their 3-color deck, or having a Crocus Loop? What could this be for? I'm not interested in finding out. The upside with this is they get to cast green spells. The upside with this is they have a lock that we can't beat. So now the question is, do we go accumulate for 2 to try and find this land, or do we ponder for it? I think I want to be mana efficient. I want to go up resources for this Force Will while they're stuck. Great news. I am going to get a 3rd color here because they do have 3 drops in their deck for Prismatic Ending, and it doesn't look like we are under threat of... Oh, that's great. So I think I'm going to go... I don't want them to take the Leyline Dowser. Prismatic Ending we can just put back on top if we ever need it. That's just a safer play because I'd rather have plus this and then Ponder will be able to get off the Dowser on the back end. So we'll go like this. If they have a card of some kind and then use that to get rid of Prismatic Ending, it's okay because we can Mystic Sanctuary, put a Prismatic Ending back on top, douse, and then get it. Remember when I was like, it doesn't have any targets, and it's because they just were on the energy package and we just didn't know? Game 1? Overhaul. Overhaul is overhauling. All right, so this cannot ambush. This token comes into play tapped. But the argument could be to just go about the game plan. The question is, what are we going to put back on top with this AK and this Mystic Sanctuary and Freudian Slip? I think it's just going to be AK, so we can just keep going up a bunch of resources. It's also reasonable to put on another removal spell on top. I am just going to put AK back on top, and then we're just going to start getting flush with it. They don't know our hand. They don't know that this couldn't be another removal spell, so they know about these 2 cards. And this is another thing where I was talking about, like, where when mana is the bottleneck, like, between AK and this thing, we're going to have plenty of cards. The thing that we're going to need is mana to deploy all those cards, and so this is making the Power Stone. Like, it doesn't seem like it would come up all that often, but, like, when piecing together the idea, it's like, yeah, being able to have the Power Stone work with the Dowser means that, like, when mana is the bottleneck in these positions, like, that's great. They're going to Cabal Therapy. They can name either the Force or the Urza's Command that they know about. I'm totally fine with it. This is sort of soft against the Mystic Sanctuary gamer, unless they're pushing through something very specific that kills us on the spot. But that's not it. Right now, like, if we find another Wasteland, we can cut them again. They were missing a bunch of land drops, so, like, I'll happily continue doing that. If we also hit our Guy's Blessing to put some Wastelands back in and then start drawing them again, that's also great. Like, by introducing Wasteland with our engine, we do have infinite Wastelands now. It's a weird way of loam locking, but it's a loam lock. So they decided to go out to Force Will instead of Urza's Command. That's good. Urza's Command is going to let us check them a lot faster while they're stumbling. No! God damn it. This is the thing I was talking about. Like, you play this and you have to click this to get it back. It's so dumb. It's just so dumb. I hate that so much. It's just so unintuitive. So unintuitive. The question now is, do we want to just fire this off and get beats going? Or do we want to cantrip? If we miss on land, yeah. It changes the plan. Like, before, I wouldn't necessarily have thought to deploy this. I would have just gone up a bunch of cards, cantrip, to, like, look for more Wastelands. It's possible that's still the plan. I think it's just too narrow. I think I just want to, like, progress. Sorry, Cam. I'm really am with all these videos trying to get better at, like, not misclicking all the time. It's just like Moto has so many unintuitive things, like, do this thing, mill a card, because it's a May, you have to click it, but, like, it doesn't presume that you always want the card. Like, it doesn't default to the thing that you would want to do. You have to, like, do the thing to do it. It's just very dumb. So now they know about, we're making a tap Power Stone. I want to get this going. get some beats going. This also checked their small guys. Snuff out's totally fine. Now that we're tapped out, I mean, they took the Force of Wills. They're just going to Bowmaster me. I always just assume if there's Lockman, it just has to be Bowmaster. Bowmaster wouldn't matter in this position as much. So we'll be able to go command again and then just move through action like that. I'm really questioning if we're supposed to go Ponder, Find Wasteland or something to be able to stop them just going Cavern of Souls plus thing, but they don't have the sack. They have the sack outlet in the yard already. So it's like, if they just stick, yeah, I fear that now that we're at the 4-mana threshold. Okay, so we're going to do a cute little trick here. I'm not going to use Ponder's ability. I'm going to do this, get ourselves a Brainstorm in the event that they fire off something in response. But make that graveyard hit the control deck. I'm going to put their Cabal Therapy back in their deck. I'm going to put then I think I just want to put Snuff out because that's a dead draw for them. And then I think that's it. So now if they have 4 mana, they don't have both 4 mana plus a sack outlet. So I'm getting rid of the sack outlet by doing this. And we're going to draw another Brainstorm. Now, I haven't made my land drop. If they have a Bowmaster, that's fine. It would be very strange if this thing had like all of that plus Bowmaster. So we're going to go like this. Thwart is fine. We're going to draw this Tundra, play this. We now have access to Thwart off this Brainstorm if we need it. Once Upon a Time is fine. I'm not fighting over that. Oh, they're a Yorion. I didn't even notice they had 65 cards in their deck. They're a Yorion deck as well. That was something that like didn't even matter game one. But all right, so they're a Yorion deck as well. 80 cards. And that's why they can support being both apparently energy and all this other weird stuff. The cool thing about like decks like this is also at a time where it's like, who knows? Like they could play anything and I wouldn't be surprised. I do think it was still reasonable to be like, oh, like, you know, do they have Bowmaster or not? Because there aren't 80 cards. Of course they're going to have Bowmaster somewhere in their 80. I also don't know if like, oh, it's the Cabal Therapy on the thing. Like Cabal Therapy also works with Bowmaster because Bowmaster works with everything. So that's like a thing. They know about Brainstorm, so I am going to fire this off. That way I can protect this other Brainstorm. Because if they want to, if they try and name it, they'll miss. And then if they try and cast something that works with the Cabal Therapy, then I can thwart it. They're not going to name Thwart in the blind because even though we are both doing shenanigans, they're not going to do those shenanigans. I realize that I'm probably going to lose on time because I'm trying to like solve this thing while also talking when I'm down 6 minutes on the clock, and we lost game one. They named Force of Will again. They missed. Hopefully they don't play a land so we can strip them. I will strip them off black. Their spells that matter here are black. Their white spells just trade for our white cards. They have the sack outlet again, so we're certainly stripping the sack outlet. What did they just do? Oh, they put Yorion into hand. All right. Wasteland. Sack it. Hit that. Pass turn. End step, we're going to douse, get another Brainstorm. Urza's Command, scry 1, draw card. It's also possible maybe I make a second Power Stone. I mean, if they're sitting on removal still, like it was just very strange that they might still do that. Dark Ritual, what could you have? Do I fear? I am going to float blue, float blue, float blue. Thwart this. If Mana's been their bottleneck all game, I'm not trying to let them have any. It may not have done anything, but I'm making another Power Stone. I just want to put them on a 3-turn clock. We will draw this Brainstorm. Force is great. I'm going to deploy the Trot. I don't know what we're going to need in this position, so I'm cool just brainstorming and then Leyline Dowsing back whatever value we need. They're on a 2-turn clock. I'm not sure what else they could have. Thoughtseize. I'll hide the Force. Okay, so if they want to take the Brainstorm, they could do that. And I don't have missing on another blue card there is tough. I'll do this. I'll show them 2 Swords to Plowshares. If they want to take the Brainstorm, they can do that. Force Will in hand. Untap this thing. I'm going to put Urza's Command on top of the deck in case they have a removal spell. Yes. We can now go activate this thing. Put this into hand. I'm going to go for the Jugular here. Go for Xaxes. Sick. All right, we got 7 minutes to win this game. Oh, man. I mean, on Ocelot Prides and shit, like now I do want Terminus and Wrath of the Skies. Oh, man. It's so, like, when you're playing against 80 cards, they could have literal anything. Let's see. Well, I do want to win the game as fast as possible, so I'm just going to assume that, like, rather than bringing in these Wrath effects that would Wrath my shit as well, I guess I could bring in Wrath of the Skies if I fall behind. That's a reasonable thing to do. Double white, though. double white though, but I don't want to fall. Like an Ocelot probably would just get so wide so fast, but this can go underneath and like, yes, it'll get rid of the tokens, but like it won't kill the mentor. So we're good with that. They didn't show me any 4-drops that I cared about, so maybe I can cut the Volk. Possible that I can cut the Volk. I'm not cutting anything else. Everything else looks okay. Maybe I cut 1 forced. I think I'm going to cut 1 forced. I'll cut 1 forced. I think like with 6 minutes, like we have to go for broke. And if they have the combo, they'll have the combo. Force of Will would essentially be 4 things that they would get to that Wasteland is trying to stop them from getting to. So by playing insulated against Force of Will with like all that discard plus Capital Souls plus all that stuff. So it's like not actually going to stop what they're doing. If anything, Force of Will is going to stop them stopping us from trying to kill them in 6.5 minutes. Whereas like Wasteland is going to be the thing that's actually stopping what they're doing because it's stopping them from actually being able to cast the thing as opposed to being able to blank text boxes. I think that like in a vacuum against all of the little things that we saw, that Force Will is just the softest of all of it. Whereas like making a bunch of white exchanges and then going up on resources between Dowser and accumulated knowledge. The only thing that maybe they could have is like if they board in Leyline of the Void, then Prismatic Ending is our only way to deal with that. Now we do have pivots between Mentor to get around it, but if they go Leyline and then it just comes down to a game of like, oh, now this is going to matter because we have to go long with 7.5 minutes on the clock. Like our Prismatic Ending for 4 is the only way that we're getting rid of a Leyline. So that's my consideration of keeping the Volk instead of a Force. I can see it going either way. So this is a hand there. If they, fight over it, then they have to fight over a couple of different things. I don't like that this is naked. This is one of those miracle cards that we were talking about. It's like this, the type of stuff that you don't want in your opener. Brainstorm to fix it is really important. And if they don't duress us on turn 1, if they try to go thing on turn 1, then we can go Brainstorm and slow roll it, and then we can Prismatic Ending on the following turn after we hit some land drops and clean up our hand. So I'll keep it. It has everything we want, even though it's all fragile. Carpet Flowers, great. We're going to Prismatic Ending that. Okay, so if they want, now that we drew the Ponder, if they go after a discard spell, they won't be able to clip this. I do need to be able to take some game actions, though, so I am going to Prismatic Ending on this Carpet Flowers. You could argue that you could just sandbag it and then wait. But like this Wasteland, the plan of Wasteland is only as good as you can cut them off mana. The Carpet would just make it so that our Wasteland don't have text, and so we're just going to clip that now. They have not shown us that they have any mana denial in their deck yet, so I'm going to lean on not getting. That's fine. If they Brainstorm in the dark, that's fine. Cool, you got it. I imagine that like Force Will is typically the thing with the game because they're trying to stick whatever they're trying to stick to, but like Cabal Therapy on the follow-up is always Force Will or Brainstorm. So the fact that they'll probably name Brainstorm, clip the Brainstorm because it's like the least objectionable option. And then we'll just have to like rebuild from there with this Ponder. But like we'll be able to clip them off of this mana source with this Wasteland and then Ponder after the fact to hit our follow-up land drop. If we hit any green source now, we can use the Guy's Blessing to mess with them. So now the question is, yeah, I do think that I'm going to Ponder. Like you could argue that there's the position of like, oh, you want to like sandbag and wait. That way you can use the Brainstorm in response to another removal spell. But I'm just going to clip them on Wasteland and have another Wasteland on the follow-up here. I didn't know that going in, but like I think that's the rationale for Ponder. So we're going to go like, so if they miss their land drop, then we can cantrip into it. I would not like to use Ponder's ability. Play this guy. Hit you. So we're drawing the Ponder on the fact that like they didn't play their land drop last turn, and so if they missed like this, then I don't necessarily need the Wasteland immediately, and so I'd rather be able to deploy a basic island. I am going to fire off this Ponder now because our mana is just sort of tied up for the next couple of turns, and we want to be able to hit our land drops. This Mystic Sanctuary coming to play tapped is going to be rough for us in the interim, but like I am going to keep this hand because I do want the additional Wasteland and I want to keep the Dowser. The Dowser is going to help us move through all this pretty quickly. So we're going to go, we want to draw the Wasteland and then I'm going to draw the Dowser on the following turn and have Force Will on the deploy. So Force Will on the bottom, then Dowser, draw the Wasteland, use this ability, pass. They know about the Brainstorm, so it's also like I could see the rationale since like our mana is so bottled up that like when are we ever using this Brainstorm? And I think the answer is either it is going to be our Force of Will fodder or we fire it off now to get 1 card deeper. But like I like our plan. I'm going to stick to it. I am going to show them the Wasteland. If they want to go off and get a single color that rather than try and get some fixing, I'm going to use all my mana as efficiently as I can. This is a spot where like Wasteland not being able to actually be used as the spell, but be able to use the mana part of it is really valuable. I'm not activating it now because I want to protect against any other discard spell if we need the force for whatever reason. Okay, I want to be able to hit a land drop here. That's not Mystic Sanctuary, so I am going to fire off. I think I'm going to fire off Brainstorm because I want to put this Guy's Blessing back potentially, which would give us a shuffle if we need it. Okay, so Source Clashers is interesting. Archmage's Charm is a blue card. We're going to put back. Guy's Blessing messes with this. I have to get green mana, which I think is fine, and I'm down to do that this turn. So we'll put back this. And yeah, I guess we put back. I want to go loop. I want to start looping, so I am going to put back Archmage's Charm here. Another question is, do we want to use all that now? And I think we can use this, get the Archmage's Charm, fetch here, get Tropical Island, Guy's Blessing, target you, flip this back into your deck. Done. Full grip of 7 with a Force Will up. And next turn, we can start making some constructs to win in the 4 minutes that we have. This is a nod to like Misrite Village and all of the cards that have made it so that your counter magic, like you just can't play more counter magic in the board. We actually talked about that on a recent episode of Eternal Durdles, where it's like counter magic just getting blanked by, like, you saw it in game 1 where it was like, whether it's Cavern of Souls or Teferi or what have you. I am going to fight over this. And I think the answer is going to be Archmage's Charm because it's the most expensive card, and we're going to be bottlenecked on our mana for the next couple of turns. All right, so don't want to give them access to sorcery speed removal, so shouldn't have played that immediately, but did it anyway. All right, we'll go like this. We'll go like this. I'm not going to open up to double use Punter's ability. No, it's okay to have that. We're just going to start Urza's Commanding, and then we get Urza's Commanding, start chunking. We got 3 minutes, but we can make a big construct. Multiple big constructs to play through removal. And so we're just going to do it. Cast this guy. Mode. Create a tap Power Stone token. Construct. Cast. Blue. Bang. Maybe, but like, why are you doing it now? And it is because I want to finish this game in time for all the haters out there. So now, like, we are playing against the stuff that I'm used to playing in the bracket where I've been eliminated from a big tournament already. But man, 2-0. Nobody can take it away from us, fam. Nobody can take it away from us. And we've played all 6 games within the. This is a full value league right now, fam. Full value league. It is cool though. Like, there is some amount of like cleaning up that the deck obviously needs, right? I feel like so far accumulated knowledge has pulled its weight in ways that I talked about why it is better than deduced or any of the other things. And I also, we've seen how potent the combination between Leyline Dowser and Urza's Command has been. And if anything after this, what it suggests to me is we haven't run up against the stuff that Archmage's Charm is in the deck for. Like, we haven't run into Tameo. When we ran into it against Bowmasters, our mana was bottlenecked and the draw was awkward. So, like, that sort of little fail case is a little bit different. We ran into, like, that deck was a Carpet of Flowers deck, but, like, they weren't playing their own islands. So it wouldn't be fruitful to, like, steal the carpet. And we haven't run into Tameo. But, like, the draw ability on the charm has come up. The counter ability on the charm has come up. So I'm not totally off of that yet. But I think AK so far has proven itself. Playing against friend of the pod. All right. This is a hand that has everything we need, but if they wasteland us, then this lower end revealed is dead. But we are on the draw, and we have access to it. They're playing, like, Larson's known as Nadu Gamer. I like having force. Like, if they're Nadu, then they're not going to go after our mana. In which case, like, this is a keepable hand on the draw. This being turn 1, like, we would have to spend this. If they do anything on turn 1, we can either swords it, we can force and fight over it, or we can ponder on turn 2 and develop. So it's a very loose keep. I didn't know it was, if it wasn't Larson, I don't know if I would keep it. This is another hand. Get in the comments and let me know if this is something that you guys would consider. But like him just going this, I am going to fight over this. If we get dazed, that's fine. That's the world that we live in. But I don't want to walk into him just being able to go turn 1, turn 2. That's the enabler, and I'm happy to keep it off the board. Even though we have now 2 removal spells for it, Nomads on Core and Shuko are the things that can never really touch the table. But now knowing that they're on Nomads on Core, that's good, because that means that this Mystic Sanctuary is going to we are going to get to untap and actually be able to play some games. So he keeps it on top. We're going to Island Cycle. Thwart is not a good draw there. It's one of the miracle cards that you don't want early in the game that we've talked about on the fail rate. There is the argument there that like I should leave up Swords to Plowshares. I leave the Swords to Plowshares, that way I can't just he can't just go A+B kill me on 5 cards, but because he kept on top. So it's arguable that this playing this Ponder right now was a punt. It's arguable that I should just because the threat of being able to kill me, that I should just port myself. Even though that's bad, it feels bad, but like I don't know if they have double piece plus Cephalid Illusionist on naturally after this land drop, so be it. I am going to keep this, though, because it's another counterspell, and we are going to hit our land drops. So if we can survive this turn cycle, then we're pretty well set up. This is a cool position because us also being Construct Gamers with our Urza's Command, which was not on Larson's bingo card, means that we have the potential to like steal a construct, make big constructs, and then like follow that same plan. I am going to use these white cards on the constructs to not die, and then use the Archmage's Charm to steal the Shuko. Like when he puts the Shuko into play, I'm going to steal it rather than fight over the constructs where the white cards are going to have to just pull their weight. If he wants to spend turn making constructs, that's good for us because then we can like start using our mana to churn and get some action. Although he's not interested in that right now. I mean, he can make another land drop. So there's his green mana. He's fetching. If he runs out any creature right now, I will happily Swords it and then AK. Argument of like not holding up the white here to telegraph that we have a white play. It's arguable there that like he's just going to make a construct. He's not committed to anything. Why demonstrate that? That could be a punt. There's an arguable punt there. So now we have double counterspell up, which is not going to be good against this Urza Saga. I think I'm interested. This is just going to be a hard counterspell. This is going to get the Shuko on the untap, which means that the thing that I actually want to continue doing is developing. I think I want Force of Will in the advent that I can't beat a Teferi. So he makes a construct. He spends his turn making another construct. All well and good. That's great for us. He's going to get the Shuko. And then depending on what else he does, I'm going to steal it with the Archmage's Charm. Another Urza Saga is pretty bad for us. We're going to have to lean on Lorient Revealed picking up a bunch of removal spells at this point. That's fine. That's fine. So he goes to attack. I'm going to steal this, play around Daze, and then Swords, gain control, cast. Take this thing. I will absolutely thwart a fight. What happened? What happened? It's still attached, but it's saying owned by Larson because it is now mine, but it is attached to this guy. Okay. So we're going to, let's just Swords the thing that's chunking us still. That's fine. No. Okay, so it's still a 3-2 because it has 1-2 and then the +1 from this, but it lost the thing. That's how we know that we actually have control of the Shuko. So we're going to draw this Force. I will Prismatic Ending here. This is the fight he wants to pick. Oh, he's in on the construct plan. Now that I've taken this thing, that's fun. Okay, cool. Because I'm going to be able to go, we haven't made a land drop. So I can pick up some lands and then redeploy. Yeah, that's fine. I'll use my life total as a resource here. Island Cycle. I'm going to get another Mystic Sanctuary. I'm going to essentially build to the Mystic Sanctuary. I'm going to build to the Fort Mystic Sanctuary lock. Now that we have the Shuko, like we are going to take these beats, but we'll be able to essentially use the Archmage's Charm to stymie combat a bit. Turn the tide, and then we're still holding a bunch of counter magic to be able to play through. So he's just on the full beatdown plan going forward. It's arguable to do this at not during this turn, but like I don't want to let him tap access to like depending on what he like if he has like Force without a follow-up blue card, if he has any other essentially I want to come before I have access to mana. It's arguable that is incorrect because he's just going to make another contract to be able to hit me for 6, 7, 8, and I go down to 1. So maybe I should have waited and then used that as a block. That might have been a punt. I think that was a punt. Now that I should have slowed down there. I should have waited until he untapped. That way I can stymie this combat because he can use Urza Saga to make him the construct. Yeah, double Urza Saga, too strong. It's also possible. Yeah, I think that was just a punt. I think that was absolutely a punt. Now that this is playing out, that was incorrect. Grave Titan's too strong. I absolutely should have waited. That way this could block. Oh, he just has lethal. Yeah. No, that was stupid. All right. My fault, man. My fault. Urza Saga's too good no matter what we do. All right. So I definitely need the respect for that. I am bringing in the Wastelands. I'm going to cut Migratory Route. Against these decks, they typically board out my basics because they don't go after your mana. And so this, funnels as that. And then that's typically the plan. I think that Power Blast is going to come in because typically on Teferi, I don't know if he's on the other plan, if he's on, the plan of the Voice of Victory, if he's lower to the ground, if he's still on Teferi or not. I'm going to play the Power Blast just to respect Teferi regardless. Then the other argument becomes, do we bring in the mentors to continue that respect? And I think that the answer is going to be yes. And then the answer, because when the games evolve to the constructs, which typically they do, in which case the force negation is going to be soft. Power Blast is going to be able to answer the thing on the back end. The force negation is good in that it can fight over the back end of the deck, like the Teferis and stuff, but it can't actually fight over the primary plan. Shuko's uncounterable because of Urza Saga, and Cavernous Souls makes all of their stuff otherwise uncounterable, which means that I also want to cut this force because I don't need double force. If they have Cavernous Souls, they have Cavernous Souls. I have all the rest of the ways to clean up after the fact. So I think we're going to go in like that. It's arguable that the Terminus is supposed to come out because we have the Wrath of the Skies, but maybe I want multiple. Maybe the Mentor is tricky because Mentor might be tricky because we're going down on lands. I don't typically board in Mentor in previous builds when I was playing Merchant Scroll, and I think that might be right here as well. It's possible to just leave this, and then maybe Lavinia can come in. No, Raj certainly can't come in. If I'm still dousing, maybe I'll play one Mentor. All right, same hand as last time. This time we're on the play, but we don't have the force. But we do have a prismatic ending. Brainstorm can clean some stuff up. We're sort of at the mercy of that. I like having the Mentor. Yeah, let's keep it. This is one of those tricky hands where we have to assume that the first 4 turns of the game go the way that we need them to, and if he's just loaded in one way or the other. But I think having access to his turn 1 play if he tries to stick something, but then otherwise turn 2, depending on what's going on here, we get to Lorien Revealed an Island Cycle. Question is, do you get the Volk or the Planespear or the Tundra? I think I am going to get the Tundra just because we have multiple white cards, and the Monastery Mentor being able to check the Tameo is good, but also we have the Archmage's Charm that if the Tameo flips, like if he spends a days here on this prismatic ending, then this Archmage's Charm, if he tries to flip the Tameo, we'll get to steal it on the follow-up. So we'll just get the Tundra. I need to be mana efficient in these turns. I don't have the luxury to play around stuff. Not that you do anyway. Imagine he lets this go. If he wants to fight over this and have it be the fight, he knows about Archmage's Charm from last game. So I don't imagine that we'll be in that space. The guy's blessing was just a grand draw. It was another one of it's the fail rate of the miracles that are in the deck, which is Terminus, Guy's Blessing, 4 Mystic Sanctuaries early, and that's kind of it. I think the Tundra is also the correct play here because we do have Wrath of the Skies in our deck, so we do have to prioritize getting white mana online. Did he keep? He did keep, and he's playing another Tameo. That's fine. As long as we can hit our land drops, then we'll be able to. We do like this. Guy's Blessing obviously going to go back. This Lorien Revealed can get us our red source. But then the question would be, what else goes back? I think we want to be able to, if we shuffle, then I want to have this on the follow-up. So it's arguable that the actual thing to go back here is Monastery Mentor. Yeah, I think the thing that's supposed to go back is Monastery Mentor if the Archmage's Charm is looking to solve the problem. I could also play this Island Cycle on the follow-up for Pyroblast, but then not have this access to the Mystic Sanctuary. Or I could get a second white source, a prismatic ending this right now. I think I'm okay doing that. I think I'm happy to keep the Mentor. We'll be able to have access to Archmage's Charm and Power Blast next turn. He hasn't shown a willingness to fight over the other stuffs. Archmage's Charm being a counterspell, or just a way for us to recoup some cards. I will hold this up until Mentor can actually convert a monk. So Cavern Naming Wizard is bad, but I will use the Pyroblast to fight over it. Gonna Island Cycle, gonna get a Volk, gonna pass the turn. So I don't know the move that we have to make yet, so I'm just not gonna make it. Like, we have this Monastery Mentor on the follow-up. This position now that we're in, with them having the threat on the table plus 4 cards, means that, like, it is arguable that, like, I should have done this the previous turn and shuffled away the Mentor, but they don't know what pivot we're on. We've simplified the game a bit, and then if Mentor can actually start moving, that's going to be really powerful for us. So this can't be countered because obviously Cavern of Souls is way too strong, shouldn't exist. And I think that the answer here is I should hit the Cephalid before the Nadu comes down. The argument really is, am I going Pyroblast this thing, untap, Mentor Brainstorm, or am I drawing 2 cards now? And then going Mentor plus Pyroblast the thing, but then they get to go up cards. So I think the answer, I could also Brainstorm here to set myself up to see what's up, but I think I want to be able to go on the following thing. I could also maybe not move yet. This is a tricky position because I think the game is going to have to come down to not letting them go crazy, in which case I just need to keep an enabler off the board, but the enablers don't work with Pyroblast. Yeah, I think I want the Pyroblast to fight over the Nadu, because Prismatic Ending can hit this cheap. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to Pyroblast the Nadu on the way back down, and I'm happy that I did that because this Prismatic Ending is going to pay that off. But we're going to put the 2 Archmage's Charms back. I'm going to be bottlenecked, so it's possible that I'm going to spend this AK now because I really want to draw a land on the following turn. This Nadu's in. Hit me for 1. So I think I'm just going to simplify this board right now rather than go off, and I'm just going to try and rebuild afterwards. Destroy target permanent if it's blue. Destroy you. I'm holding up a counterspell just in case this is where he's going to pick a fight. He hits a Misty. It's arguable that, like, the better spot there is to just let him have this Cephalid Illusionist and then hold up the Archmage's Charm. That way I can be more mana efficient. But the position of that is the Prismatic Ending. Like, let's say he has or finds, he goes cantrip into, Nomad plus Shuko or multiple Nomads, any of those combination of cards. I just die on the spot because he can breeze through a counterspell. It's just not reliable. In that spot, I'd rather just try and use my way to soften the board. Here, I would have been like, if I were to, like, let's say fight over this and then die, that's bad. If he has another Illusionist, I die. But now I get to untap and I can steal this thing unless he has the combo just, like, all rolled up anyway. Like, him having the combo all rolled up anyway, it's like, okay, couldn't play around it. Like, if he naturally just has everything, like, he naturally has everything. That's because this deck is very good. But, like, I could see the argument of being like, okay, yeah, you just don't fire that off, hold up the Archmage's Charm. That way we never get into this position, and then we sort of repeat the same thing as last turn because now the game is over. But, like, I don't know that that's entirely right. Yes, he draws 8 cards here. The game is over. Like, this sucks and shouldn't exist. But, like, I don't think that my plan there of not using the Prismatic Ending was necessarily incorrect. I could see world where it is. I could totally see, like, yeah, you got to hold up the Archmage's Charm. But, like, the fact that, like, this still exists, like, you can only hit this if he has a follow-up on there and then the win is just on the table. I mean, it's a bit tricky. So what's in his hand? He's just loaded. All right, well, he's just going to draw a bunch more cards, and then he's going to have force. He's going to draw 8 cards. He's going to have multiple. He's just going to draw another copy of this thing. Like, this game is over. Sucks so much. It's like this card just should not exist. Like, if this is going to exist in the format, this should not exist in the format. Let's see, though. Do I have any outs? I don't think I have any outs. Like, he just draws a bunch of cards. Thassa's Oracle's in hand now. All right, well, I mean, if we're winning, it's because he's not comboing off and, I win this way. We'll do it for the QT. He's going to draw into second force, and then the game will end, or he'll just draw into the combo naturally. Okay, Soggle means that this is no longer a plan. Okay, so he has double Daze now to fight over my force. So Daze also exists in this format. It's just like a nice little deck of power outliers that exist in the format. So he'll force, pitch, something. So I'll pay for the Daze, he'll Daze it again, and then he'll force, pitch, and then that'll be it. And there you go. All right. I wish that game was a little bit more eventful, but sorry about it. Just a bunch of power outliers that shouldn't exist in the format, and here we are. Larson's great, though. I recommend you go watch the Eternal Dodos episode where he came on and talked about the deck after he, I forget which event he won, but he won one of the major events. I think it was Eternal Weekend. I think it was Europe's Eternal Weekend, where he comes on and he talks about the deck. And Zach has also been playing Breakfast a bunch. Breakfast has been the deck that like I would move into if I wasn't so stubborn and wanted to play control all the time. Like every time I play Urza Saga, I want to kill myself. I just don't do it. It is what I think is like the powerful deck that still can give the experience of like, yeah, you can make some exchanges and then the game can just flatly end immediately on the spot after a bunch of exchanges like that. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like ultimately, going back, we can look at the Archmage position where like I needed to hit my 5th land drop in order to actually double spell. But like I could also have gotten rid of the Mentor in that spot where I didn't necessarily need it, but I thought in the follow-up wasn't just going to be redundant piece. But like the spot of like, oh, I could Prismatic anywhere, I could Archmage Charm. I mean, like the illusion of choice is there, but it doesn't matter because that deck just is so redundant and rolled up with Cavern of Souls that like no choice is actually a matter there. So I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about that one. Unfortunate that there was nothing to learn there other than like maybe make your deck better, like play a different deck, play better cards. But if there was anything that I missed in that one, get in the comments, because right now it just seems like it's effectively rolled up and nothing really mattered. We used our spells in the best possible way that we could with what we had. Other than my punt in the first game with the Archmage's Charm, taking the thing at sorcery speed, I should have just waited. Okay, we'll keep this one. Urza Enjoyer is Women Urza Enjoyer playing Urza's Command in my deck. I'll be the first to say it. I think on a thing with the buff that Urza Saga is getting from Final Fantasy, I hope that's enough to put people into the camp of like, oh yeah, maybe this card should never have existed. They've get rid of it. So Arena of Glory. Not exactly sure what that implies, other than something that I'm going to lose to. So I'm going to play this in the advent that I have to get a basic land for this thing. I'm going to do that. Faithful, I cannot interact with, and therefore I will not. I am going to get the Tropical Island here because I know that this Prismatic ending at some point is going to need to go up to 3, and I don't want to. I know that I'm fetching here because I'm going to fight over this token. Drawing the bulk would have changed that, but we didn't know that. It's arguable that I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to lean on getting a basic, but I can get a basic with this Leyline Revealed. I am going to get rid of it. This Leyline Revealed is going to get me some basic this turn. I am going to be mana efficient. You can't let them. This is like the type of thing where it's like I would like to be mana efficient and use this, but I don't think you can let them snowball into their stuff. Okay, they're playing white cards. That's good. Another Fable, so we're going to have to do the Fable battles. In which case, I am going to get myself a basic island here, and then we'll Mystic Sanctuary, and we'll misclick. Just talk myself out of it. That's okay. We're going to do the same plan that we did before. I'm just going to be open to Blood Moon now if they have it. Play this off. This is a great draw because now I can just fire this off here and now, and then we can start AKing. I'm not going to do it until we know what. I don't want to show them AK, and that informs their decision on their discard. A third Fable, their mono Fable gaming. That's fine. Wrath of board is going to be very good against this. Now, is this a CMC 3? I think so, right? This is the backside of the Kiki. Very cool. It's possible that I just take the Goblin here. Possible that I sit. Hold up a counterspell. All right. Well, we're going to have to start removing these pieces. So I'm going to put a Swords to Plowshares on top. I think I want to remove this piece, but he's stuck on mana. So it's possible that I want to just steal this. But he's going to get to filter again. And he hasn't wanted to filter to get more draws anyway. And I don't want to let him double up here. All right. He can go Kiki into Kiki. And I think I'm going to let that happen. I don't want them to make more mana. I really think mana is going to be our bottleneck, or their bottleneck, if they aren't going to discard any other cards here. But it's possible that like letting them have haste is bad, but they already have haste. So it's like they're double baited there. Like they could go. I don't think I can die from this position on them having so few mana sources. And as long as we're not dead, we have the thwart sanctuary loop going once we get there. So like Agatha's Soul Cauldron is going to shut that off, which means that I don't think I can let them have it because they can just fiddle. So I think I have to send it back because they can clip the Prismatic thing. They haven't shown me a way to recur it yet. But if I set myself back, then I don't have a play next turn. So I think that we just let that go. Now, Goblin Engineer is different because Goblin Engineer is a way that they win. Now, I do think that I don't think that there is a way that I can actually win this game, given that they're playing Ancient Tomb. Like, it might just be that our hand as it's situated is just not conducive, like triple Fable, everything up, triple Fable, all action. It's possible that there wasn't a sequence. Like, I'll have to look at this one back. Like, maybe I shouldn't have been going after the goblin that makes treasures as aggressively as I was, but like I also think that we would probably just die faster if we let that happen. This is the tutor though for the combo piece, so like, all right, set ourselves back to the Stone Age. I don't think I can let them have this. It would be nice to nut the Terminus. We're straw here. We passed, now we're dead, probably dead. We're spending way too much mana too fast. They spend 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 13 mana. Spent this quickly on filtering and multiple threats. It's like they knew they were going to have like the perfect draw because this filters. And then also us having singleton removal wouldn't have mattered because this is inherently a 5-for-1. And then they had their main deck hate. So I think it's good to know about that, I guess. Part of it's tough to scoop in these spots until they show us everything. And now I assume that this means that we can just, they'll just do the thing and we'll die. Yeah. See what they're exiling. Is there anything else we need to know about? Okay, they're a 4th deck. So that's also part of the white. So it's another. So it's just a bunch of stuff that Control never wants to see. Emblems that you can't interact with. Main deck Pyroblast. 3 drops of Ancient Tomb that are all unbeatable. Main deck interaction. Graveyard Hate. I'm going to presume that this is going to be an unwinnable matchup. I don't think there is anything beyond a timely Wrath of the Skies that's possibly good, like Urza Saga Power Outlier. 4th Aerolingus is an interactive emblem mechanic. They have a bunch of 3 drops that all accrue them way too much value for a way that a Tundra gamer could ever keep up. Main deck interactive Graveyard Hate for Mystic Sanctuary that's proactive and also as a combo piece. It's like, I don't know if you could draw a better 70 against us, but we'll do our damnedest. So we certainly need this. I think we need the Null Rods. Do we need the Null Rods? Null Rods turns off their Agatha Soul Cauldron, and we have to be off of Leyline Dowser. And it's possible that we should just be off Leyline Dowser because they can swap it out of, if they're playing, I don't know if they're on, yeah, I think it might be possible that Leyline Dowser is just going to be too slow. We're just never going to actually have the opportunity to spend that kind of mana. Hydroblast obviously comes in. Gaia's Blessing its main deck Graveyard Hate. I'm cool with it. No Rods are going to come in. Wastelands have to come in to deal with Urza Sagas. I guess that means that we have to kill them ourselves in the red zone, so Mentor is going to be interesting. All right, let's see what doesn't work against them. I think all of the blasts, or all of the forces, like it's like you need them, but at the same time they can just protect something with blast, and then you can never actually get there. I think the route is like just not opening their Pyroblast up. This is a spot where like the Mentor not being blastable is really hot. I assume if they're not yet able to play their own Blood Moons with their Urza Sagas, so we can keep. We could board out our basics, but we're boarding out our Leyline Dowsers. So let's see. It's also possible that like this is just too slow. We just have to be on the Mentor game. It's possible that Archmage's Charm is too slow. It's possible that Urza's Command is too slow. Archmage's Charm is at least a counter that can go up cards. Same thing with, I think we need those hits. 54 seconds. What goes? I think I'm going to get rid of, am I getting rid of? I think Urza's Command for the stone token is just going to be soft and they can move things around. So I'll go like this. Yep. Great. Tell me if you agree with that board plan. It might be wrong. It also is possible that Lavinia is supposed to come in. But if I'm trying to wrath this guy, it's kind of awkward. I would like to play first. His hand is just not enough. They just get to go Ancient Tomb anything, and we're going to be too slow. This is a bit better. Surgical to interact, Wasteland to interact. Wasteland will tie the room together with this Lorraine reveal. This Terminus can go underneath. Or maybe this Mentor goes underneath. It's possible that Mentor goes underneath because we're going to be... Although we could just go... If we hit our land drops, then this Mentor can check a board, but then also attack. So maybe I think maybe the Terminus goes under. I still am pretty confident that there isn't going to be a way that like there's any sequence. Like I don't think we could choose a 7 against their 7 other than that's not just exactly like a big Wrath of the Skies blowout. But we'll give it a go. We'll see. Maybe Surgical catches them in a particular position. Holding up some Power Blast action. See, this is a spot where it's like me getting to not have to worry about Blood Moon necessarily if they're on Urza Saga is like valuable. Where that's just going to change in 2 weeks. So I'd like to hit that 3rd land drop. These Mystic Sanctuaries are going to be bad, but then I'll be able to go Null Rod on the backup. So next turn, if they don't give us a Wasteland target, then we just go Mentor and pass, and we'll have something. I think this is a keep. We got to keep the Null Rod, so no, we'll move from there. These Mystic Sanctuaries coming into play taps are going to be bad on the fail rate, but that's typically not a ponder that I would keep, but like Null Rod is just the haymaker that you have to have. So Magus to the Moon is going to be the blowout, in which case I should have gotten the island, or still would have needed to get an island and just presume that this was off. And now we're dead, I think. I don't know if you sideboard. Did I keep the migratory route in? I think I boarded it out. Yeah, I boarded it out. I guess the only decision beyond what I did was like maybe you can argue that like you wasteland the thing before the Magus comes down. So we're not entirely dead because we do have access to a basic plans if we can nut it. But otherwise we get cheesed. I might have overthought myself on the like because typically they play the this stuff in the board, and I was like, oh no, they can't do that. Not while Urza Saga's still around, but they can do it now instead of having to, parry back and forth. They just get to have it all as a what's the word I'm looking for? I was saying a boon, like just a way to level it up. Like, yeah, they got this and this. Like this used to be attention, and now it's not. At the end of the day, though, I think that like given how the decks are situated, that it's just like it's going to be an unwinnable matchup no matter what. If you're not thinking about it in your 75 when you're building, like you're just never going to actually be tuned for it. Lorien Revealed isn't out that we can get islands, but that's not, with our hand, that's not going to matter. So that's 2, 4, 6, and they can fling this for 2 plus the sacrifice permanents. Okay, we'll let them just go through the motions here. But yeah, sorry, this round was super uneventful. Like power outlier is going to power outlier. Like Border and Wasteland didn't matter because they just went turn 2 Blood Moon. Sweet. Trying to combat Ancient Tomb, but just can't. So happy that one went fast. You can see the struggles of a Tundra gamer though. Like the things that Ancient Tomb gets are just so much more powerful than anything that Control has, and Control has to be able to react. But the things that they play are deployed in such a way where it cuts off your means to be able to interact. So it's just like inherently a bad matchup. Like Breakfast, I think is a little bit more of a back and forth. Like typically the matchup can be good, but not on the type of build that I'm playing. Like the Merchant Scroll build that I felt very good against it. I think that looking at the list right now, that Archmage Charm is too cute. So be it. I think the thought behind it is good. It's been a lot better in my testing in paper, but it might also be just like the types of games that I'm playing against in paper. I'm playing against like a lot of Dimir and stuff. So the come up and still Tameo just comes up a lot more often. It is arguable that like you just don't need to revitalize. Like you're dead before you ever need to gain life anyway. Although I've liked having access to life gain, but like this could probably be something better. Migratory Root is just the fifth Lorien Revealed. It's possible that it could just be another cantrip. So the question would be if they have like something like a Stifle. I don't know what necessarily blue red means. Like if they go turn 2 like Cutter or something, like I don't want to walk into a daze. So I'm gonna play around Wasteland, play around Daze, also play around Stifle if they're just holding something like that up. We don't know what they want. Oh, okay, they're just gonna turn to us. Well, we have to fight over stock up. It's one of those pinpoints of like you can fight over the stock up or the thing that stock up gets, but like you will just die in those positions. So we're gonna fight over that. Get rid of this thing. I assume that Volcon turn 1. I guess I should have assumed that if they didn't have a play, that they're not going to be playing small ball. A lot of information to be gleaned by no turn 1 play. Like the format's way too fast to not have a turn 1 play. This is good. We are going to keep it. Force Pitch Ponder, untap fetch. Leyline Dowser, try and rebuild is going to be the line. They're just going to have another 3-drop. We're going to fight over the 3-drop because we have to. So if we can draw, if this Leyline Dowser can blind hit a blue card, or if we can draw a blue card, we can Mystic Sanctuary Force to go back on top and then get it into our hand to have another follow-up here. We are naked for this one turn. If their hand is just City of Traders, land, and mono 3-drops, so be it. We've done our damnedest. There will be nothing to glean from that information if they just have like action, 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 all of which needs to be countered immediately. Sneak attack is amongst those things. We're seeing the redundancy of stock up just making it so that like trying to fight on this axis is just ain't it. We will get this. On the off chance that I can that I naked hit the thwart here, I will set myself back to the Stone Age to counter it. So here's a punt. Like I should have thought about prismatic ending. If I had gotten the trop, then I would have been able to exile this on the follow up. So that's a punt on my end. Might lose the game because of it, and we also didn't draw. We drew exactly the sequence where if I thought like, oh, trop, find the prismatic ending, which is the correct line. I should have gotten the trop there because then we would be able to go off. But instead, I'm going to need to. I guess if this hits a blue card, well, it doesn't matter because they can just red and put something in. So now I need to find like if it's Atraxa, like Source the Plowshares. It's cool to be like, okay, there was a line here of if I had just gotten the trop, which is part of the build, then the prismatic ending and talking about the things that we've talked about with the prismatic ending work, and I just punted. This Rise Village is another reason why counter magic or reactive gaming is impossible. So let's see, what are they going to take? Oh, they found the Emrakul, so we're just dead? Yeah, cool. All right. These guys can come in. Surgicals have to come in because it is anemic gaming, but it's all we got. I think Wasteland is fine, but also probably too slow. We're going to do it because we have to do it. I don't know if they would also be, would they also be Moon Gamers? I don't think they need to be, but they're on sneak attack, so it's possible that they are. Okay, so Revitalize can come out because it's not what the game is about. Guy's Blessing, I think the game doesn't matter there. Archmage's Charm is a 3-mana counterspell, probably too slow. It's arguable that just a high enough density is necessary. Swords to Plowshares, I think, against Atraxa is important, but also if we get to that stage of the game, we're dead. We can leave in the Terminus to catch a potential. Maybe we're in those weird positions. It's also possible that the thing to do is just kill them faster with Mentor. Yeah, maybe that's the correct way to go, but if they just go over the top, yeah, we can't be reactive gaming in this world. That's just not a non-starter. So let's get our Mentor game on just as a way to check them faster. What else? I think that's it. I think this is the action that we have to lean on and just be lean. We're on 20 lands. I could see boarding out the planes if we don't want to respect the enchantment. Blood Moon. Let's go with this. Yeah, it's unfortunate to like run into a league where it's like they're playing against the stuff that obviously is not top table stuff, and then we get somewhat interesting games, and like the deck can do its thing, and then we play against like top decks, and it's just like, oh yep, like whoops, put in like redundant combo pieces through a Cavern of Souls, draw my deck, game over, or play against just Ancient Tomb Slam, game over. It's cool in this game though that I did have the out with the prismatic ending. If I thought like, oh, I could draw, I was thinking about spiking the thwart because I couldn't let it resolve. But like had I gotten the trop, I could have played Mystic Sanctuary and then played prismatic ending, getting rid of it, assuming that they didn't have counter magic, which they weren't fighting over on the stock up. So it's possible that their 4 cards were Attraction plus Force plus whatever, and then it doesn't matter, or Days, and then it doesn't matter. We'll never know. But like they didn't have to do anything else. They just played land, stock up, kill me. But there was a window where I could have interacted theoretically and then it resolves, but this is a game I will respect the. If I respect Blood Moon, then the prismatic ending can't actually ever get up to 4. And so I think we are going to say we'll do as Rain said and grow up and lose the Blood Moon. Do I want to? I don't want to pitch this Brainstorm to this Force of Will because I need to clean up this hand. But I also think if they have a turn 1, we just eat it. I want some of these, not all of these. Like there's a world where they just go like, 3-drop on 1, but they didn't this time. That's nice. AK. I think I'm in a world where if they. And the thing is that stock up just makes it so they like the idea of waiting is laughable. The notion of like, oh, I'll hold this up, and then since I cantripped, and now we're here, that like there's a world where it's like, oh, maybe we don't run something out because like there's the possibility of Consign or Fluster or Pierce or whatever because it's running Jank Tundra stuff or like counter magic or like Force plus Fluster or something. But like now that like they have stock up as well, like the notion that you would ever do anything other than jam is laughable. So like I think like that would it would be nonsense to begin with. Gonna fire this off. That's a really good trade for us. Except that it implies that we're probably dead. Because if they're willing to fire off a Pyroblast on an accumulated knowledge, it means that their mana is going to be sunk for the rest of the game. Or they're just so flush on Pyroblast that like there's no way this Brainstorm resolves. And because our hand is bad, there's no way that we get out of this. So we'll give it a try, but like I assume that like Power Blast, this means Power Blast here. Given that these Mystic Sanctuary are coming on play tapped and we have no other action, I think this might be worth enough to force. The thought process here is either I can force, get this brainstorm, try and evolve this hand into anything reasonable, or sit back and hope that one force is good enough against a hand that's willing to Power Blast and accumulate a knowledge. So it's presumably safe to say that like the hands have lined up in such a way where, yes, I shouldn't have leaned so hard on brainstorm, cleaning up a hand against the Power Blasting, and also simultaneously that this game was decided before we started because these sevens are going to just be deterministic. And because of that, we're just going to jam. They're reading Urza's command, happy that they're winning this match. So we'll get to AK for the 2 Mystic Sanctuaries. Untap, form something. I guess Prismatic Ending, it just needs to come out of the deck. Like, there's just no world where you're ever going to get the luxury like we had to spend 4 mana on a sneak that hasn't already snuck. But yeah, what we were talking about last time, where it was like, yep, spending a Power Blast on a community knowledge, like, it's probably like the correct response to that is a right-click concede, because it just means that like the hand is already so rolled up in so many ways beyond, and exactly what that was is exactly how this played out. Was Power Blast, force, doesn't matter, untap, play show until kill you. And so, sweet. I'm sorry that this league ended up going south after when we started playing against real decks that are playing the real power outliers of the format, and now naturally stalling. But I hope that you enjoyed at least the thought process behind trying to make something like this work with this. If we were to move into switch things up, I guess that was a fun but too cute thing, even though we did search for a basic at one point, and then we were going to use it as a way to win the game at one point as well. But I think the Revitalize, we just have to accept that there's no playable life gain in our colors. I think if I were to move into another space, I really enjoyed the Urza's command with Leyline Dowser part of the deck. How would we improve this? I think that the world would be, I think I would probably lean into something like this to start. Just like maximize the stuff that was good. You could argue that the Archmage's Charm was just bad. There was a game where it was like it did a couple of cute things, but like the power outlier still power outlied it. Oh yeah, we could do the thing, but it just like, yes, there's the argument that like I should have played it correctly against the Urza Saga, but like the fact that there was a second Urza Saga just overpowering this thing and it doesn't matter, and it's like the Urza Saga is just a red herring to the fact that like it's gonna kill you, but then like there's the follow-up combo that kills you anyway. If you respect the Urza Saga or the Shuko, it doesn't matter because either one kills you, and it's just there is no correct answer to it. It's just too strong of a card. I think like, as much as I enjoyed this and stealing Tamiyo's, maybe like if you wanted to do something like that, maybe you just move it to the board. But like if we were to move this out, and then I think like you just have to sort of be some amount of redundant. Like we lost to a bunch of different power outliers all day. Like in the games we lost, it was Cavern of Souls in one. It was Cavern of Souls in multiple, but one of them was a playable deck. So Cavern of Souls, locking all that stuff out, blanking our counter magic. In which case, it's like maybe we don't even want this in here because like it's not good enough. There was games where it's like when you're playing against the stuff that's not the top tables, you definitely want some amount of this in your deck. But it's possible that this shouldn't be there. And then like what is there that's good against the other stuff? Like not really too sure. You can't play Leyland Dowser if you're playing a Wrath of the Skies deck, because then you have to lean into being a Wrath of the Skies deck, in which case you're going to lose to the stuff that's like the show and tell decks, like you saw. But you'll be able to do a little bit better against the Urza Saga tech. The stuff that's problematic about that is then you have to make your mana base more contingent on being able to hit double white reliably, which means that you have to essentially get away from Prismatic Ending, which makes you a lot softer to Tamiyo and other Planeswalkers. So it's possible maybe that like if you liked the Archmage's Charm version of the stuff, that like you can go Archmage's Charm with Wrath of the Skies. The problem with that though still is that it's a triple blue spell, and this requires you to want to play at least 2 planes in your deck, and you're never getting there. And so you should just abandon the Mystic Sanctuary part of the deck. Or like just assume that like the white cards just have too much text. It's also possible that like we're in a space where like you're compelled to play like the Force of Will main, but like there's enough going on in the world where like You know, I'm not too far away from being like the world should look like this, and then like Force of Will comes in spots where it's not just going to get naked, blanked by Cavern Souls and Mistras Village or what have you. Like you saw against the show and tell player, like we went stock up, force it, and then untap, kill me anyway. And so like because there's so much redundancy, even against the decks where like Mistras Village plus stock up means that like these don't do anything against them, and then against Cavern of Souls this doesn't do anything against them, and then against Urza Saga this doesn't do anything against them. So like Force of Will is really only good against the decks where you're like, okay, you don't have to fire it off early enough that you get dazed, and so like yes, you need this, but like this is not the glue that like it just always feels like it's a necessity that's like at best like, oh thank God I didn't die, but now I'm down to no resources against like the good decks. So like I could see a world where like Force of Will just becomes the thing that moves to the sideboard, Wasteland becomes the thing that moves to the main. In which case, like, you know, you have to start thinking like at what world do we like do we have to just be like, okay, we disrespect Blood Moon more if we're gonna stay on prismatic endings, but if we're staying on if that's the case, Blood Moon's only gonna see a resurgence because now it works with Urza Saga in 2 weeks, and now that we're like the lame duck format is gonna be over in a little bit where Blood Moon's stock is just going to go infinitely up because now every deck that gets to play Blood Moon also gets to play Urza Saga, and they get to do it main board instead of having to figure out if they want to do a pivot one way or the other. Because they at a certain point, once they have that, they can play Urza Saga into the Blood Moon with no chapters on it, and then once you remove the Blood Moon, then it just starts ticking up chapters. So like, are we really in a world where we can not play sufficient basics? But if you're not playing sufficient basics, then you can't play prismatic ending reliably. And it's also possible that we should just like accept that Mystic Sanctuary or this version of deck just needs to go on a hiatus, if not to always just lose to the good decks at all times until there is some sort of legacy shakeup. And it's also possible that see as irreparable for something like this. Even being proactive, like we do have some synergy here, which was a lot of fun and did a lot of interesting work. And it's also cool that like we ended up making more power swing than we did scry one draw card. Whereas where I thought we would be, that was kind of cool. What else? Is there anything else? I think that's sort of it. I mean, where else you could go in this space, I think like there's reasonable. It's rational to be like, okay, we're just going to abandon Mystic Sanctuary altogether, maybe as a one-off flex. In which case, you can drop the Lorien Revealeds. So, depending on how you wanted to look at something like this, like you could just get rid of this package altogether and then play anything else. But that anything else probably just makes you a little bit more like a proactive, like your proactive mid-rangey type thing. Like the idea of this already trying to be a little bit more proactive of an engine, but like in the way that your 4-color Beanstalk decks have sort of fallen by the wayside to the Sultai decks, just because the Sultai decks get to play like Murktide and Bowmaster, just means that they can be more proactive so they can hope to cheese people as well. Whereas like the threats to the format right now are just a little bit too wide. So I wouldn't recommend anybody try what I'm doing because it is just going to end up in a bunch of leagues where you'll beat the stuff that is also trying to have fun like you are, and then lose to all the stuff that's playing the power outliers. But if you wanted to lean into this, I would say like maybe like I think like Mystic Sanctuary is like the fun glue with the Leyline Dowser to like find the stuff. So like I don't really have any advice for anybody who doesn't want to do this. But that's it. I think that's it. I think I'll wrap it up there. Thanks for everybody for joining. If you have any thoughts of like where we should go with Leyline Dowser builds, I'm open to hearing them. If there are any tools that you would play instead, like I think the Archmage's Charm slot was fun, it was tricky, it was cool, but ended up just losing to getting overpowered anyway. I think Force of Negation doesn't need to be in the deck, and it should just be something else. I would actually be pretty interested in moving away from Force of Will's main board in favor of either Wastelands or something that can be proactively done beforehand, like main deck Lavinias or something like that. But like that doesn't work with the Dowsers, so like I'm not exactly sure what would be the plan there. Accumulated knowledge did work in that it was nice to have a Leyline Dowser plus accumulated knowledge as 2 ways to go up a bunch of resources, and we saw the ceiling on this thing a couple of times where, like, hitting 2 cards a bunch was nice, but I think cards that just say draw cards and don't do anything else have been soft banned from Legacy. So I think that, like, this could also move out and just be something else. So I can see a world where, like, this becomes something else, and then the shell of this package just sort of looks something just like basic like this, like, the classic fundamental stuff. You can move into black instead of red if you didn't care about Pyroblast, and then you can move towards something like Pest Control, which is stuff that I've tried before with Urza Saga. The problem with that, though, is that Pest Control is a sorcery, and Urza Saga makes the constructs and kills you at instant speed. So because it doesn't deal with the Urza Saga itself, it's like you really need Wrath of the Smith space, but then you can't make the mana to make that work. The fact that Pest Control has cycling means that, like, you don't necessarily need the black, and then it's not a requirement that you have it at all times against the deck that otherwise it would be bad. You can just cycle it, which is what Accumulated Knowledge was doing as the first one a bunch of the time anyway. Although if you do need the Pest Control, then it would make you'd have to adjust your mana a little bit. Like the Volk with the 1 Underground Sea, tricky. But I have thought about, like, Guile as like another command that gives you utility. That would be the one slot that we'd be able to condense Graveyard Hate in, and also be a threat, making something later on a little bit more potent. And then that's a late game thing where you can entwine it and do all kind of cool stuff. So that's kind of a fun experiment that I thought about a bunch, just because it does a bunch of things that the deck wants to do all at once. So if you didn't think that you needed Pyroblast, you could move into black for Pest Control and Gaea's Guile or something along those lines, which is kind of fun. Fun is about the extent of it. I don't think they'll win very many games, but that's also just like the nature of the beast at this point. But I think, like, this is fun. I think that Urza's command in Leyline Dowser is cool. I'll explore it a little bit more. Test it out on paper a little bit. Maybe it'll catch me on 90s MTG. This is the longest outro ever. And until then, thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you next time. Last thing is, if you want to write for eternaldurtles.com, just hit the link below, which will get you to Discord. And then you can reach out to me there or on any social. Just hit me up at Force of Phil. And if you want to write about anything Eternal Magic game related, I'll happily publish you on eternaldurtles.com. But until then, baby, what it do?
Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button. It grows the legacy content ecosystem we all love by relaying to the platform that you are part of our passionate community.
And to go even further, click the links for subscription or to support directly via Patreon to help us create more content for you. Patreon supporters get 4 exclusive extra episodes per month. If you're listening on an audio platform, head over to patreon.com/eternaldurtles.
Thanks so much for your support.
We'll see you in the next one.